Hello and welcome to the 2019 ICE Collegiate Championship Finals. I am David Williams, but you can call me Wimsy. Alongside me is a caster who most definitely is not a gold caster, Rob Gosu Dreams Price, and we are ready to take you through an epic best of five between UCD Leviathan and UUSU Esports.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to see how this one turns out. I mean, UCD is a team that we've seen a couple of times now in and around the finals. They end up losing out last year to Trinity, now back with a vengeance after winning the Winter Bash, of course. And then on the opposite side, we've got Ulster University, who we haven't seen since 2017.
Yeah, these guys are up and down in the past in terms of their collegiate performance, but they have a few good players on this team. They made a role swap in the middle of the season to try get themselves back in, so especially in the second half of the Collegiate Championship, they really bounced back with a vengeance.
Yeah, and it's worked out wonders for them. I mean, just that little role swap now seems to have given them a little bit more of a foundation, but I'm very excited to see how a lot of these lanes kind of work out. I mean, in particular, my eyes are kind of drifting towards that mid lane. I mean, we've got Guardian there who's worked wonders for Ulster University, has kind of been a star performer for this lineup, and definitely one that I want to keep my eyes on in this game.
Yeah, certainly interesting how the team can almost live or die depending on how he does in that mid lane matchup, but up against a formidable opponent in terms of Munch, who obviously mainly a support player, but plays mid lane for the UCD team, but has been no slouch in that role, a big contributor for his side.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of seeing a lot of that support kind of go in towards his champion pool as well. When we're looking at like the Morgana, the Malzahar, kind of more utility-based champions, but has definitely been, as you were saying, a standout performer as well. It is kind of eyes on Kevin Man on this roster, though. I mean, the team does play around them, but when we actually did the stats, and we were looking at this last night just before the game came up, they're pretty much even across the board on damage, which is very impressive for Munch when you're looking at that support utility style. But of course it's Kevin Man who's going to be the big carry for this team.
Yeah, I think if Guardian is kind of the feast or famine player on the UUSU side, then Kevin Man is definitely that player for UCD. Very flashy AD carry, and he will let you know about it. But I mean, certainly he's had his big performances as well as some missteps in lane. But I mean, so far it's really been working out for UCD for the most part. He wins a lot of his lanes, and this is a team who has only dropped one game as well throughout the competition. So it's clearly working for them.
Yeah, and one of the cool things as well about Kevin Man is that he's only repeated one champion this entire tournament. It's 2 games on the Sivir, and then every other champion has been a unique champion. So Keva's kind of gone into a champion ocean at this point, rather than the pools that we usually talk about.
Yeah, exactly. He's looking to show off a little bit, but maybe he'll go back to some of the old familiars for this final. He will be up against Ghoul in that AD carry matchup, who is very solid, but didn't have the best time when these two teams faced off previously. But we're expecting it to be an important matchup nonetheless. Now Ghoul paired with Curtis, one of the persons who was involved in that UUSU role swap. Those guys would be looking to pair up really nicely in that bot lane and make some plays.
And I think just the name itself, I mean, BJS Curtis, of course, has been a standout performer for a long time in the Irish League of Legends scene. Now moving back to the preferred role, I think gives a little bit more stability down there, particularly when we're looking at, going up against Kevin Man and, of course, against Yo in the bottom lane as well. I think that's a super nice lineup now to try and go up against what is supposed to be the carry lane for this side.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see can they match up, because Kevin Man, very good player. Yo as well has had some really impressive performance on a few of his more notable champions like the Thresh, the Morgana. So that should be an action-packed bottom lane, and if UUSU can hold up against that, they should really be able to unsettle UCD. But I think one part of the map that UCD will also be looking at to have a big impact in this matchup specifically is that jungle. Hanash has been a shining light for this team coming in his first year of Collegiate.
And not only that, coming in a different role as well. I mean, we've seen him come in Phelan's Proving Grounds, we've seen him come in the Winter Bash, but they were both in the top lane, now playing up in that jungle position. I mean, it looks like it's his bread and butter this entire time, has had standout performances across multiple different champions, and I think it's great to see someone like that coming in and now being a new up-and-coming star in the Irish League of Legends scene.
Yeah, if we're going to see anything wacky, I think in terms of champions, definitely look at Hanash. Up against Mr. Darkness, who did start off at support but has swapped to that jungle position. He may be sort of the odd man out a little bit because it's not his main role. He's still adapting to it, but he has been fairly solid for UUSU ever since they made that swap. He's found a couple of champions he likes to stick to, and he will just look to be as solid as possible in that jungle role to help the rest of his team out.
Yeah, and I think one of the standout kind of concepts that I'm looking at when I go over towards the side of Ulster University is this triple threat that they have. Job opportunities in that top lane. Yes, we've seen him on stuff like that Malphite, but the Victor has been the big standout performer for this guy. Now we're going to have to see if they get to bring that out one more time. And when they do, he's had incredible performances on that pick. I mean, doing like about a third, if not more, like 33% damage in some of their games.
There was
it's just been crazy.
One game in their semi-final against TUD where on that Victor pick, I think he had 43% of his team's damage. He has really stepped up for this team in the top lane. Actually, going back to the name, Katanki, I think is his older tag from previously, but certainly that Victor is a big pick for him. Would not be surprised if maybe that was denied throughout the series, but he's also shown he can go to things like the Kennen and the Malphite, so definitely wants to be a big impact in those team fights. Going up against Kexius as well, who, once again, he's another player who's looked to kind of be more on the defensive side for UCD, facilitating the jungle, the AD carry, and the mid lane.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. We're going to probably see that Poppy be a big pick for this guy in the top lane. He's had 6 performances on that champion so far, and it's just kind of been not going to win lane, but just absorb so much pressure in that top lane means that the rest of the team are free to do what they want, and that's why we're seeing these big performances out of the likes of Hanash, out of Munch, out of Kevin Man in that bottom lane. It's just because, look, top lane's going to do their thing. We're not going to lose. We're not going to do anything. You guys go have a party. I'm just going to be that big beefy front line that you need as the game goes forward.
Yeah, Kexi is certainly one of the better role players in the competition, just in terms of, as you said, soaking up as much of that pressure as possible and making sure that he's not a liability, especially against some of the really strong top laners that we see. So Katanki going to have to really put in the effort to gain an advantage in that lane and try transition it. So this will certainly be a big test for him in that top lane. Ulster University probably going to be fairly reliant on him having a big performance in this game.
Yeah, and there's a couple of key picks that I want to highlight coming into this matchup as well. In the mid lane, I know that Guardian has been a big performance on the Syndra, has even, I think I have it in my notes there, 49% in one of the games for his team's damage. Absolutely crazy. But as you pointed out before, Whimsy, feast or famine. This kind of either gets rolling or ends up taking a step back and not having the big performance that we want. And when I look towards Munch, the likes of Lissandra, Morgana, Malzahar are these big picks for Munch. I want to see him take a step back. I want to see him go, do you know what? We don't really need to have a winning lane here. Just absorb the pressure, make sure that Guardian can't get rolling, and you don't have this big snowball effect come through for Ulster University.
Yeah, exactly. He's certainly a good player in terms of the champion pool. He plays a lot of different things. Obviously, Syndra preferred. I believe it's the only champion he's played more than once, and he's played it quite a bit. But he can go for a lot of different things. So potentially the option is just to stick to something that's less lane orientated, more team fight orientated, and then group up with his team, and maybe they can work around that. Also looking at some of the picks in the bottom side as well. Both the AD carries liking Sivir, so that could be a big champion. But are we going to expect something different maybe between both of these AD carries?
Well, I think if we're expecting anything different, it would be from Kevin Man in the bottom lane. Kevin Man in the bottom lane. I think it's a bit of an awkward one because you're saying, Sivir is the favorite one. He's only played it twice. Like it's favorite out of
most favorite. Okay,
it's out of the 10 games he's played Sivir twice. So I mean, this guy's played Yasuo, played Nico. So you got a lot of stuff that can come through there. So if I'm expecting anyone to play something different, it would probably be the bottom lane there. But on the opposite side, I think you're going to go back towards the bread and butter. It has kind of been the Sivir. It's kind of been a little bit more utility favorite, I would say. I mean, the likes of the Ezreal has been there as well, which has been a big pick for Horny Ghoul. So I think that's the kind of champion I'd rather see them go towards. And again, it kind of comes back towards where are the big winning lanes for each of these sides. It is going to be Kevin Man in that bottom lane. So if you take something like the Ezreal into it, take a step back and go, cool, I'm going to farm, I'm not going to give you anything over, well then maybe we can try and shut down that big pressure that's going to come from the bottom lane here.
Okay, so I think we are just about ready to jump into this pick and ban phase for Game 1. We'll see which of these teams can get off to the better start here. Ulster University on that blue side for the first game of this series. What bans are you expecting against UCD here in Game 1?
Against UCD, I'm expecting kind of the Poppy, actually, to be perfectly honest. Kexis has played this 6 times, and just getting a good map pressure in that top lane for Katanki, I think could work out very well for them. We've already said the likes of Victor, the likes of Kennen, these carry-orientated top laners are what they want to bring out. Get Kexis onto something that maybe they're not very comfortable on, and see if you can try and snowball that advantage.
It looks as if the first ban is actually going to be the Kindred, so taking that one away from Hanash, potentially scared of what the champion can do against potentially the draft that Ulster University are looking for. Hanash has wide range of champions that he can play, so possibly just geared more towards the strategy that they're attempting.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised as well on the opposite side to see the Skarner band away. I think Ulster University, Mr. Darkness, since that role swap over towards the jungle, has solely played the Skarner, so just getting that off the board will get them, again, just at that little edge of an advantage, and I think that's really what we're going to see the difference here from, is these little advantages as they start to grow, that's going to be the big difference here.
Well, there's your Victor ban away from Katanki, so no more 43% damage games coming in for him and that top side, potentially looking to make things a little bit easier for Kexius. Lucian, though, will be denied from Kevin Man. It's actually been banned away from him in quite a few games, so he's only had the one game on it, but he has had it denied from it a lot more. So they're scared of what he can do, I think, in the laning phase more than anything.
Now, don't forget, this is 9.6, but I'm still surprised to see that influence from the Lucian coming through. The Lucian was kind of a champion that we saw fall off for a while, because when you look at it, the likes of, okay, how heavy can I punish this bottom lane on the Lucian to snowball effectively past that 2-item breakpoint? And when you start to look at the likes of Vayne that was coming through with the Blade of the Rune King and the Gwynsus, and Kaisa as well, that can go for that Storm Razors into Gwynsus, he just couldn't pack the same punch that these big later damage dealers could bring.
Alright, so it looks as if we have Kennen and Silas ban. I think our overlay might have just flipped that a little bit, not showing that third Ulster University ban. But Kennen and the Silas, I think, make a lot of sense. There's that second champion for Katonki in the top lane, and Silas, I know that's something that Guardian does like to play. I think it's a big outplay champion for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Silas has worked wonders as well. I mean, back in 9.6 as well, this was just before we saw the nerfs onto that Kingslayer, the W for Silas. So this is still where Silas can be a bit of a nuisance, so not surprised to see that banned away.
Third ban came through from Ulster University. It is the Zillion, denying that from Munch, which I think makes sense because a lot of his games he's been going for the champions that are fine in the mid lane, but you can also play that support position, and he plays a lot of Zillion at support anyway, so I think it's big. It fits what UCD want to do a lot as well.
Yeah, and it's that absorb the pressure that we're talking about coming through against Guardian. Get something that it doesn't really matter. Look, I'm going to go even in lane, I'm just going to farm, but it means that Guardian doesn't have the kill pressure because you hit that level 6 and you got that ultimate available. Well,
I called it. That's the silver pick.
Here, do you want to just analyst? Yeah, cool.
I'll do both play-by-play and color for this game. But there it is. It looks as if, though, UCD may be thinking of the Morgana flex pick as well. They like to play that in the mid lane, so it could be a good answer. I'm also curious to see what they do on that 80 carry matchup now. Do they actually want to put the Morgana against it? I think there's a lot of ways UCD can go with their first two picks.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this going, where do you want to go? Jungle kind of makes sense to me here when you're looking at, okay, cool, what do we not want to show? And you're nearly guaranteed getting some sort of counter pick in that third slot there, and then you can ban away if you want to. But I mean, we're looking at the Vladimir that's been locked in. We've seen the Shy have a fantastic performance on that today in LPL. We'll have to see if Kexi, I doubt it'll be going towards Kexius. I'm assuming that'll be towards Munch in that mid lane.
Yeah, the Shy's Vladimir was insane. By
Shy
the way.
Is just
that was
Shy is just disgusting.
If you didn't see Game 3 of that final, he had a bad start and then just popped off.
Yeah.
So I would recommend watching it. The response though will be the Skarner for Mr. Darkness. So that is out of the 5 games of jungle he's played, it's been Skarner in 4. Bet to make it number 5 for this one. And the Urgot in the top lane as well. So still something that Katonki can have a big impact on in just the 1 versus 1.
Yeah, and I think it's going towards that bully mode as well, which we're kind of expecting to come through. Poppy, yes, can do well against the Urgot for a little bit, but eventually all that extra damage that comes through with the Conqueror just wrecks her in those later stages of the game. Yes, you can stop some of the escapes that come through with that steadfast presence, but you still got a very big or very difficult time in that top lane. So they're just kind of going, okay, cool, if you want to go with it, go for it, but okay, that is not what I was expecting.
That's a Kayle.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested in this one because Hanash plays a lot of top lane, and Kayle is something that he's brought out in top lane in previous tournaments before, so
yeah.
And maybe it's one of those kind of weird jungle picks that he wants to go to. We'll have to see. UCD, I think, a lot of flexibility coming out of their first 3 picks in any case.
I think you're right with that. I think the Kayle could be going in towards the jungle. We have seen it come through, particularly with what you first expected when we saw the Kayle come out was kind of tending towards, oh, I'm going to go Gwynsus, these AP builds. But instead we saw a lot of people teeter away from that, especially over in Korea. We saw the likes of that Triforce build come in and just a much more AD heavy style. And that works quite well when you go for that attack speed jungle item as well. So I think that'll be more what we see Hanash go for. And then have Kexius revert back towards the Scion, the Shogat, the Poppy, these big picks that we've seen them come in for, and have at least some sort or some semblance of a front line for them.
Yep, so the one thing we know about UCD's comp is that they do still have to lock in an AD carry, and the Ashe is taken away from them, so Ulster University kind of sticking with the most solid information that they have in terms of their second round of bans. But it's Braum and Thresh denied from BGS Curtis. He's going to have to dig into the champion pool just a little bit, but he's played a lot of different champions so far since his swap to support, so he should be just fine.
And one of the things is as well, I mean, if you do want to throw that Morgana in towards the mid lane, you can still take away something in this first rotation as well. I mean, even picking up the Alistar here as well just means you're denying so much away from that bottom lane. And the Alistar, oh well, there it goes. I was going to say the Alistar does incredibly well against the Sivir, but not going to be seeing that this time around. Obviously, they've got their nose on the right point and want to make sure that they can sniff out exactly what UCD are going to go for.
Yeah, they're listening into your strats, Rob.
Yeah.
You get the color caster roll back. But the last few bans coming through, UCD still with an 80 carry to lock in. And a champion that could go to a number of different roles. Obviously, Ulster University thinking that it may be towards that support position. In any case, UCD have quite a bit of options left on the plate. Ulster University likely still to lock in their own mid laner and support.
Now, there's still some funky things that you can do here on the UCD side. We're probably not going to see them, but you could toss something like that sign in towards the mid lane. We have seen it brought out from Griffin on this same patch in 9.6, end up going for something like the Redemption in towards the Sterix gauge. It was a bit of a weird build, but something that you could see. So we are looking at a hover at the moment, but I think I'm just getting production here. Teemo is actually going to be Varus, so I like what they're going for here. They're keeping a lot of things open at the moment, and it means you can flex around with a lot of these picks.
Rather than denying the pick, like you said previously, they are obscuring the information for Ulster University, who have to go into these last couple of picks just a little bit blind. Right now, hovering the Zoe in that mid lane, which, once again, another champion that gives Guardian that big play potential if he can have a strong performance against Munch in the 1 versus 1. And could allow them to move nicely into a pick comp combined with the Skarner.
Yeah, most certainly could, and that's why I was kind of surprised to see the Ash band away on the Ulster University side. I thought that would have been on the opposite side, so then you can try and work with that very pick-heavy style. But unfortunately, that's not what they're going to be going. Well, not unfortunately, but that's not what they're going to be going for here. But we'll have to see is the pick bands kind of disappeared here.
Yeah, we just have to make a quick remake so we can sort things out. Hopefully, we'll get the pick band screen back in just a few seconds with the teams getting ready to go. But yeah, so far, I mean, it's been an interesting draft. I really like what UCD are doing. Despite maybe a couple of the picks being a little bit coordinated, those first 3 could have gone to multiple different places on the map. They have the opportunity to really surprise their opponents as well if they wanted to change things up. So definitely, if they have any surprises game 1 to bring them out, that could really unsettle Ulster University, who went for a pick ban that we expected a lot more out of them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, guys, one of our spectator clients crashed, which is why we lost the pick ban there. But we are actually just going to jump directly into the game, so we won't be reloading the pick ban. We will be jumping in just momentarily into that game, and hopefully we'll get our observers fixed for it next time. But yeah, it happens. It's a live broadcast. What can you expect? But I'm still very excited to see what these guys are going to bring out, especially, as you were saying, a lot of flexibility coming in on the UCD side, and Ulster University have kind of gone towards that pick-heavy composition.
So here we are loaded into game 1 of this best of 5 final between Ulster University Esports and UCD Leviathan. We do see the final few picks coming in. It was a Scion, but the Scion did go to the top lane. They put that Vladimir in mid and kept the Morgana on the bottom side. It is a Kayle jungle from Hanash. So I'm excited to see how this one works out.
And not only that, we're seeing a very different style from Munch as well. I mean, we are already talking about the heavy utility mid laner. Now we're seeing a Vladimir come out, that big late game damage dealer, and that's kind of what UCD want to get towards, is that big late game damage. Hanash and the Kayle, you've got the Varus who does quite well in that late game as well. Munch and the Vladimir, Scion becomes unkillable. This is just your typical, let's just wait and scale, and particularly against the pick composition, as we're saying, coming out from Ulster University, I think it'll work quite well. The other thing as well is Hanash won't get punished in this early stages of the game. Skarner kind of wants to hit that level 6 point, isn't great on those invades, particularly with how well Kayle can speed herself up. So they should be fine to just work their way through this jungle and get to a point where they've got a couple of items underneath their belt.
UCD may have a freer early game than, or about as free of an early game as this composition would like. See if Ulster University can do anything to unsettle UCD in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game before the big damage champions really become a nuisance. Want to have a little bit of a focus on that top side as well. We were talking about the impact that Katonki needs to have. He has a matchup that he can do some work in. He has Kexis on the tank that potentially can be punished by that Urgot.
And not only that, punished by the Skarner as well. If you can get that toss back coming through from Katonki, it sets up Mr. Darkness so well on the Skarner to get into lane, get that stun in place on top of things, and Kexis will be kind of vulnerable in these early stages. Scion, yes, is always difficult to try and take down, but is definitely more vulnerable at the early stages of the game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Darkness try and put some pressure on that top side, and that's why we can see at the moment as well, Mr. Darkness has gone in towards that jungle, trying to see if they can steal away this buff, but Kayle has answered on the bottom side. Hanash realizing the vertical jungle is what we're playing with right now.
And both junglers making the trade-off with the vertical jungle between the two teams. We saw in the bot lane the early trades coming through. Kevinman and Yo with big pressure in the 2v2. we were asking questions about how Ghoul and Curtis would hold up. And first couple of levels not being great as the push comes through from the UCD pair.
It's a bit of a tough one because you are in the matchup with melee versus double ranged, and BGS Curtis is a non-champion until you hit level 2, so you're going to get pushed in early. We got to see if this continues as Horny Ghoul starts to pick up those levels though. Get that Essence Reaver, start really getting those Ricochet blades to do work, try and push that lane back in, and then we'll see it even out. They have managed to get a lot of that CS underneath the turret though, so not behind for the moment.
May just be a case of them sheltering under their tier 1 tower and trying to avoid some of the poke damage coming through from this Varus and the Morgana. Having a look at the mid lane matchup as well, the Zoe versus the Vladimir. Vladimir, as you said, Munch not going for that utility champion may give Guardian a little bit more opportunity to make some individual plays if that's what he's going for, but still Vladimir can just sit back and sustain if he really wants to.
And you've got the Sanguine Pool there as well, which makes it very difficult to try and get in. BGS Curtis in the bottom
Takes
lane!
the ignite, the damage will come through from Yo, and that is going to be first blood for UCD in the 2v2.
And why I was so surprised to see Horny Ghoul and BGS Curtis go for this bottom lane. Alistair can't do anything against the Morgana. You're already going to get pushed in so effectively by Varus and the Morg as well. You lose out so heavily in this lane. We were talking about this in our pre-game. Try and get yourselves into a decent matchup bottom lane to shut down Kevinman and also the Yo in the bottom lane, but they haven't done that. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, we see on the top side, Mr. Darkness going to make that recall. Man, that's got to be such a big win for UCD. We talk about the feast and the famine in that bottom side, and it looks as if they may be ready to feast here. The kill going over to the Morgana, not exactly what they would want, but if this 2v2 continues like that, then Ghoul and Curtis could be in a bit of trouble.
And I want to go back to the point you were making on that mid lane as well. I feel like Guardian doesn't really have much kill pressure here against Munch. As we were saying, Sanguine Pool there to keep themselves safe. But Guardian is very very capable of going for these roams instead. So if you're already losing out on this bot lane, Guardian is capable of getting down here, seeing if he can get a Sleepy Trouble bubble over the wall, and work with Ghoul and BGS Curtis to try and set something up there.
Would be a lot of crowd control if the Zoe could make the way down. The jungler's going to meet up in the river, but Mr. Darkness actually looking to follow that up with the Chilling Smite, forces the flash out of this KL. Munch able to come on over to protect his jungler. So Hanash wary of running into the Skarner and getting caught out in the river.
Yeah, you cannot get out of the jungle if you're Hanash right now. It's stay on your own side of the map, and this is what we're talking about. Mr. Darkness can't follow through in a lot of these situations, try and catch Hanash out in their own jungle. But if you go past that line of scrimmage, if you make your way in the river, it's fair game. If you end up going there, look, Skarner can do what they want. You'll have a lot of these roams, as you're saying, from Guardian that can help and control from that mid lane. So you got to be a little bit more careful when you're playing this Kayle.
And right now actually looking to go for the Scuttle Crab here. Let's see if he was able to get it and able to escape the Urgot off screen. Mid lane, meanwhile, Munch is still being pushed in. Guardian looks as if he has that nice push that he wants, just using it to recall for the moment. If he continues to exert pressure on the lane like that, like you said, could help these side lanes out, whether it be assisting Katonki and maybe turning a lead in that top lane matchup, or helping the bot lane by relieving some pressure.
And I feel like that's where it's going to be a little bit unfortunate for the side of Ulster University. They will want to try and fight a little bit early. I know you're losing in the bottom lane, but you can still go toe-to-toe with Varus, at least when you've got the Boomerang Blade there as well. But I'm going to hold on to my point because it looks like we got our first gank in the top lane, and now I'm going to resume my point because there's no more gank in the top lane. But I think it works very well. If you can try and get those fights, utilizing Guardian at the early stages of the game to try and pick someone off, utilizing the extra pressure you get from Mr. Darkness, you can win out in a lot of these situations. But unfortunately, that dragon at the moment is a Cloud Drake, so we're not going to see these big fights that we would expect on a Infernal Drake or on a Mountain Drake.
Yeah, I doubt either team is too pressed. Committing heavily to the Cloud Drake early in the game. Rift Herald, though, could change things up a little bit. Get an early Rift Herald, you can take quite a few plates off the tower and net yourself a nice bit of gold. So, potentially, Ulster University, especially with that jungle advantage and both of their solo lanes doing fairly nicely. Active Engage coming through in the bottom lane. A lot of damage onto Kevinman. The stone comes through as well. He will be going down here. Guardian sneaks in, takes the kill with the Zoe. Can they get onto number 2? Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not have enough range to catch out the Morgana, but UUSU on the board.
And that was just a slow trigger finger coming in from Yo, but they did have Guardian in the wings as well, so either way it was going to spell doom for Kevin Man. And this is what we're talking about, that early pressure that Guardian can put in, have the priority on pushing in Munch, now nets them a kill and the Dragon here as well.
A lot safer to go for the Dragon when the enemy AD carry is dead. And first Elemental Drake of the series, only a Cloud Drake, but it goes over to UUSU, and doing quite nicely for themselves after giving over that early kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, but the next one is an Infernal Drake, and that's what I like to see. This is where we get blood, Whimsy. And that's what I'm here for this in the finals of the Irish Collegiate Championship Division 1. I want to see blood, I want to see lots of it, and Katonki has actually been relatively quiet when it comes to that bloodshed in the top lane. I thought we'd see it a little bit more out of this Urgot, but has not had the opportunity to do so. Kexis has been playing quite well, and even in CS right now.
And this is exactly what you want from Kexius in the 1 versus 1, keeping it safe and doing his best to mitigate any advantages that his opponent would have. Munch going for the Hemo Plague in lane. Just a poke.
Well, when you try your best and you don't succeed, you know?
Did he get what he wanted, though?
But not what he needed.
It definitely was not what he needed. But, I mean, Guardian can stay in the lane after that. He knows that the Hemo Plague is down. That may actually incentivize him to play a bit more aggressively. Possibly call in the Skarner to help him out. That Impale could really make things a lot trickier for Munch, but he still does have the Sanguine Pool and the Flash available.
I think I'd prefer to see Mr. Darkness go down towards his bottom lane. As you were saying, relieve pressure down there. Get Ghoul and BGS Curtis in a little bit, or at least out of this sticky situation that they've now found themselves in. Especially when you've got Guardian, who we've already seen can successfully roam out of that lane. Doesn't have to worry about the pressure Hanash is putting there because they've opted for this Kayle. They should be the ones with the proactive plays. Now, we're only 10 minutes into this game, so still a lot more time in this laning phase to try and do so, but there's only 4 minutes left on that turret plating, and Rift Herald was one of the things that you pointed out. That has been picked up, it seems, or at least taken.
It's
no,
just
there
spawned.
it is. There we go. Yeah, has just spawned, and I mean that works out wonders if they can pick that up and try and get that down and pick off some of these plates.
Yeah, a lot that UUSU have to work with. The Urgot at this stage should be sitting on quite a bit of gold if he wants to make a recall. The Zoe with the Lost Chapter and the Sork Shoes can do quite nicely for herself in a trade, but right now actually it's the pressure on the Rift Herald going over to Hanash, who is able to call in some help from his top laner. That's likely to go and contest with Mr. Darkness, though, thinking of a play in that bottom side of the map. We'll see how the engage comes through. Looking for it now with On the Hunt pop. The big knockup comes through, and that will be a dead Kevin Man at the end of this. Actually, he's going to be able to flash away. Mr. Darkness follows him. The CC is not enough to stop Kevin Man from going down. Yo flashing away at the back of the fight as well, but caught out by the Boomerang Blade. 2 kills in the bottom lane for UUSU as they just keep hammering it home.
And that was a very strong play coming through from Ulster University here. They get the engage again on BGS Curtis, setting up the plays continuously here. I thought that he would struggle to try and get in because of the black shield that was coming in from Yo, but it hasn't been able to stop the double engage in that situation. Kexis comes down, but it's too little too late. However, they did get the Rift Herald. That is something that is now in Hanash's control, but where do you try and put that right now? You can't try and help out Munch really in the mid lane. Guardian has a good amount of control there. Kevin Man and Yo are now struggling in this bottom lane thanks to the pressure that has come down. And, I mean, Kexis against the Katonki is always in favour of Katonki.
Yeah, a lot of push in these lanes for UUSU. May deny Hanash the opportunity to use that Rift Herald. We'll see if he can do anything on the Kayle to potentially give his laners that pressure. They can find the opportunity to use it, but in their hands, maybe not the best objective for the next while. But speaking of objectives, Infernal Drake spawning in a little bit over a minute. Another engage in the bot lane, though, and they are just picking on Kevin Man. They're going to pull back in Yo as well with the Urgot ultimate. 2 more in this bottom lane. Ulster University feasting on Kevin Man and Yo.
And who needs a Rift Herald when you can just 4-man bot lane? They're going to get a huge amount of damage on towards this turret. Katonki has backed away to try and make sure that they're not losing too much in the top lane.
Guardian might have found himself to Vladimir here. Flash is still there for Munch if he needs it, and he uses it early to make sure the Zoe cannot catch him. Guardian has to do a little bit of fancy feet to get himself out of this situation with Hanash coming on down. That kill's pretty quick, but is going to miss with the slow. Guardian will be just fine.
I felt like I was watching Temple run there for a second with Guardian just running away from all the people that were coming after them. Rift Herald hasn't popped in the mid lane though, and with Guardian having no mana here, this could get some decent damage. At least 3 of those turret stacks will go down. You can see Katanki has made their way towards the mid lane to try and ease some of this pressure. Here comes Darkness
They
as well.
think they might be able to find someone as well. Mr. Darkness coming on in is going to impale the Scion at the front of the fight. They will take him out, but a lot of damage onto the members of Ulster University. However, they can get away. Will Scion kill Guardian? It is passive. Zoe not able to escape with the ultimate. Katanki, though, thinks he might have found Hanash, flashing away from the Urgot in the nick of time. It's a 1-for-1 under that mid lane tower, which still stands.
A lot burned from UCD, though. Katanki coming in to catch out Munch.
Vladimir risking it a little bit by staying in the lane, but he is not going to fall in the end. And UCD actually nicely transitioning. They could just pick up an Infernal Drake off the back of this as well, but Ulster University are closing in.
But that's what I wanted to say. They burnt a lot in that fight. If Ulster University can get in here before it goes down, they can take the fight, but unfortunately, they're too late. And it means UCD will pick up the fight and will pick up the Dragon.
A bit of a steal against the run of play from UCD, but they managed to take an Infernal Drake. That will really help them in terms of these scaling stats, but we're going to have a look at that fight again.
Yeah, you can see here, it's a smart call coming through from UCD. They go, okay, look, we've got this opportunity here where Skarner has already gone down at the bottom side. We've got 3 people mid. Let's see if we can get some pressure down and get some utility out of this Rift Herald. They do get a couple of plates, but there's no vision for them in that in that river right now. Don't spot Mr. Darkness coming out of their own jungle. Gets the suppression. Katanki there to help deal the damage as well. We're already talking about how quickly that Conqueror can stack up, and as well, Katanki has hit that crucial level 9 points, so the W is on a toggle rather than actually costing mana or anything else. So this is where Urgot really starts to hit their stride, and they get punished a little bit for it, but Rift Herald, or not Rift Herald, Infernal Drake does go over.
Black Cleaver now finished for the Urgot as well, so he's going to be a lot trickier to deal with for that Scion in the 1-versus-1. With all of the armor shred coming on through. A lot of big items actually coming through from multiple members, especially those 2 carries on the side of UCD reaching item number 1.
But it has been answered on the opposite side as well. I mean, Ulster University do have that 2k gold lead as we just hit that 15-minute mark. You can see the Essence Reaver completed for Sivir. That now evens out that bottom lane in that pushing potential because you're getting so much of that mana back. And Zoe should be able to pick up her first item as well. That Luden's Echo should be completed, but looking for the kill onto Munch. Does get the pool down, though.
And Vladimir, a tricky customer, especially at this stage of the game when the sustain is real. He can stick around maybe and get all of that health back. Not even using the Hemo Plague in that case. Was never too stressed.
It's a lot of long swords in the pocket of Urgot right now. I just was like, okay, yeah, no, I see one long sword, 2 long swords. That's 3. Okay. I mean, is it a sword for each leg? Is that how this works?
He's got a cleaver.
Cleaver, yeah.
And a shoe as well. Yeah. So it's
we're not running that meme is long.
Yeah.
The not enough. We've only got. Yeah.
I have to bring it down. I have to bring it back for this one. But yeah, I'm actually very curious though as to what he's going into. You imagine it's some lethality, so really looking to cement an advantage in that 1-versus-1, foregoing some of the tankier items you usually take on the Urgot to help your team out.
Yeah, I think it's just to try and punish out Kexis a little bit harder, try and see if they can win as heavily as possible in the mid. Oh, Guardian.
He is drowsy. He is asleep. He is dead. Guardian finding the bubble at just the right time, picking out Munch 1-versus-1.
And this is what I want to bring it back to, talking about the big carries for each of these teams. Guardian in this mid lane now has the 1 up on Munch on the Vladimir, which was a pick we were kind of waiting to see how he would perform on it. So far, it's been a bit up in the air, has had the CS advantage for a little bit now, giving across a kill, but Ulster University have successfully shut down the bottom lane for UCD. Kevin Man not looking like the threat that you were expecting as 0-3.
And in the bot lane, it looks as if this first tower is going to go down, but Curtis wants to engage as well. The flash used to dodge it by Kevin Man, but the tower will fall, and Ulster University continuing to extend their gold lead.
Doing a fantastic job at the moment. Will end up picking up this turret as well, which is going to work absolute wonders. Although looking for maybe the kill.
Again, this is the Zoe you're always scared of. It's solo queue. Popping people with that paddle star. UCD have to be wary of Guardian. This is the big win condition that Ulster University have had throughout the competition.
It's just like you're under that mid lane, that's a paddling. It's just not working out for them at all so far. Trying to see if they can get one more to land onto Munch, but Guardian doesn't really need to worry about it so far. 3-1-1. Hasn't even completed that first on yet. Whimsy, it's only going to get worse for them.
UCD with their composition, we're planning on weathering the storm, but at this stage of the game, there's a storm coming. Next Inferno will be spawning in just over 30 seconds, and despite missing out on the previous one, you have to imagine that UUSU are much better poised to compete and level up the Inferno score.
And this was something we didn't get to touch on as well. Last time these two teams faced up, UCD beat them in a clean 0-2. Now look at the game we have on our hands, Whimsy. 8-2 in kills, a 3k gold lead in favour of Ulster University. That role swap that we were talking about really seems to have solidified themselves into a much more formidable opponent.
Potentially thinking of trying to catch someone out here. Sion will use the unstoppable onslaught to cancel out the bubble coming through. Hanash, though, is just burst down. The kill goes over to the Skarner, and the teleport in from Katonki as well will cause a whole lot of problems for UCD. They burn down Yo, and that is 2 kills taken by UUSU right as the Infernal Drake spawns.
And what a way to do it as well. BGS Curtis has looked incredibly strong on this Alistair, setting up the plays in the bottom lane, setting up the plays in and around this dragon as well. This Alistair is a pick now that I'm very wary of letting through into game 2.
19 minutes in. This is not the score I would have expected. UCD coming in as the #1 seed, the favourites for this series. But Ulster University just very cleanly dismantling them in multiple areas of the map, have over a 5,000 goal lead and all the pressure in the world with Baron set to spawn soon.
And now, that's why we're seeing them getting that control in around that objective. Getting in towards the red, getting the vision down, making sure that there's no one that can even wander through that top lane jungle and maybe pick off something. But speaking of picking off, Kexius, it's a little bit of a hardy Sion right now, so should be all okay, particularly with Hanash here.
They might be able to return the favor onto Horny Ghoul here. Hanash actually flashing forward, but Curtis with some nicely timed CC to get just enough distance in. However, the Alistair might be going down. Divine Judgment will be used by Hanash just to keep that health bar ticked up for a little bit longer. But it's gone down, and if Mr. Darkness can get to him, he will fall. He does get the kill in the end. And once again, Curtis, the #1 bodyguard, saves Ghoul. He gets the kill for himself. Kexius will go down as well. Ulster University, by the skin of their teeth, keeping the people alive and taking the fight.
Kevin Mann is pushing in this mid lane though, so they need to not only get the kills, they need to answer with a couple of objectives of their own. You can see Sivir is capable of pushing in on this top side of the map as well, so they should get one back. But I mean, BGS Curtis, again, we're seeing it's like, get down, Mr. President, just get out of the way, I've got this one. Manages to save Ghoul in that, but now Katonki, he finds themselves in a little bit of trouble up against Munch.
Once again, the Hemoplague being used very early, but Munch not wholly able to follow it up. Does force the Urgot back, but Munch not choosing to stick in this bottom lane. Not nearly enough vision for him to really keep at this tower. He is trying to see what he can do in terms of a push, but down comes Guardian. Can the Vladimir make an escape? Because Mr. Darkness is on his way as well, and he has no ultimate, and he will be falling. He's going to be capitalized on. The Palace Star gets blocked by the minion, but it doesn't matter. Guardian does get his 5th kill of this game. Munch just staying overextended for a bit too long.
The minion trying to do its BGS Curtis cosplay, not quite working out that time around. Means that they will end up falling, but this is a bigger issue as well, where you can't try and go for this split push. Munch was only 0-1 at the time. In good shape, decent amount of CS, Hextech protocol completed. You think, okay, cool, I can go for this. Not going to be the case, particularly with when you have no control on the map.
Oh, Kevin Crits! Wow, that Sivir's not even at 3 items yet, but Horny Ghoul just destroying Kevin Man there. Kevin Man thought he had the pick. He used the ultimate to start it off, and Ghoul just saying, nope.
Look, it's skill. They calculated the crits beforehand, knew that even with the 50% crit that they have, they were going to get them in every single one.
On the hunt being used as well to see if UUSU can grab themselves another pick, but it looks as if Yo was able to get away with the help of that blast cone. But that topside jungle is completely theirs. They are just running the show. 15 kills to 3. It has been a clinic so far from UUSU, and they're not looking to stop it anytime soon. Much being picked off by Curtis, but the Alistair may have overextended, does not have the Unbreakable Will, so no extra tanky stats, no CC cleanse, and no chance for escape as Hanash finally gets himself on the board.
And that's just a little bit of impatience coming through from BGS Curtis. They've been winning out in this early game, has been going very well as we can see. However, they need to take a step back. Start to play clinical, start to get the vision control. You can see that this is where their team will shine in these pick scenarios. You can't go for those when you don't have the vision in that area. And I think when I look back at how both these compositions fare up, we said it was a late game composition coming through from UCD. I feel like it's a little bit of a disrespectful composition.
No, I've seen this before. So as much, he hasn't seen the missed paddle star, and with the help of his Kale, he will get out alive. But Yo, meanwhile, did eventually fall in that top side jungle, was being poked out by Guardian once again, and Katanki finishes the job off screen.
M. Night Shyamalan, the M stands for minion in this case, where they got the plot twist. But I think it is, going back to my point, a little bit of a disrespectful draft coming in from UCD. Going, do you know what? You're not going to get the pressure in the early game. We can have Hanash go on to this late game. Kale, Munch can go on to this late game. Vladimir, a very different style for them. And they punished Kevaman because of it. This was the lane that we needed to step up to win for them. Has been shut down 0-4 at the moment. And they haven't got control of the map. And although, yes, they will start to come online, that point where they actually get their items is looking very far away right now.
Baron secured by UUSU. This is where things get really, really dicey for UCD. They're still scaling up a little bit. They're waiting on that Quinsus for Kevaman on the Varus. And the Kale has 2 items as well, so they can do a bit of damage, but it's the crowd control that's really killing them in these fights. And they're repeatedly getting picked off in their own jungle. And now Ulster University don't need to pick them off. They have the Baron buff. They can just send the waves to the towers and try siege it up. The Zoe will do wonders for them in that scenario as well.
And this is where we're going to start to see, it's almost a stranglehold that'll come in from the side of Ulster University, trying to clear out this vision and start to rotate. And they can do so very effectively here. You've got that speed up coming through from the Sivir, means you can get through this jungle corridors incredibly fast and see if maybe you can pick off one straggler that's left underneath these turrets on the lonesome. Ocean
Drake, grabbed by UUSU, does actually give them a reset, so if the game goes on long enough, they can potentially step back for a second Infernal. Right now, UCD wave clearing. The pressure isn't really there for UUSU. They don't have themselves set up just yet, but they still have a little bit of that Baron buff to work with.
It's about it's getting towards halfway done anyway, but where's the waves? I mean, they haven't established the control in their side lanes just yet. Yes, they've now got in the bottom lane, but they're still afraid to start pushing up. They can't get into here to try and make work with this buff so far, just because their lanes haven't been able to push.
Looking at the individual goalies, you can see the advantages in all of the lanes, pretty much really showing through. It's just across the board a whitewash in terms of that goal advantage, but there is a bit of a clock that UCD have to work with. It's why Ulster University have to press their lead now, finally getting a few of these waves to these tier 2 towers.
But how long has it taken? I mean, look at the Baron. It's 2/3 of the way done. This should have been very quickly put in order, but everyone kind of lacking behind. People falling behind. Horny Ghoul forced to flash.
Flashing and ultimating away, but he still might be going down as Kexius jumps back in with the unstoppable onslaught. Curtis trying to do a bit of himself with the crowd control, but he's just going to fall even through the unbreakable will. And UCD with the counter engage. They've already found one. They're going to be able to find 2 as Guardian exits stasis, is shut down. It has to feel so good for much of this fight. Meanwhile, Katanki and Mr. Darkness trying to get to this Varus in the back line. They get him in the end, but was it really worth it? A double kill for the Urgot will still result in a lost fight for UUSU. The Vladimir picks up a triple, and finally something goes UCD's way.
And this is why we were saying a pick composition from Ulster University. They want to be going into this where they've already managed to knock someone out of this fight, and then they can try and go for it. But the team fight is always going to be in favour of UCD, particularly with how much the rest of Ulster University are lagging behind. Katanki and Mr. Darkness are late to the party. They've already seen their team dismantled thanks to Munch and Hanash, who are dishing out quite a bit of damage right now. But you see, Mr. Darkness just trying to drag themselves back into that fight, but unfortunately not able to do so.
Looking for the flank, but all it really meant was that the Sivir had little to no impact in the team fight, and Katanki and Mr. Darkness just not able to really grab themselves that kill, and UCD offered a really nice bit of respite now.
And this is one of the things that comes with taking that Baron. It's a little bit unusual, but you nearly don't want to take that Baron. You want to use it as bait. You want to dangle that fish out, dangle the worm out, try and see if you can get them to bite down. And that's where you're going to go and try and make that pick. Use that vision control that you've already garnered for yourselves to try and make the play happen. However, that wasn't what we saw. They tried to take the team fight. They got a bit arrogant, thinking we're winning out here. We've got all this extra gold, but not looking at the way their composition actually wants to play, and they end up being punished for it. Now UCDs are saying, have that moment of respite. Have the opportunity to start to farm up. Get the Varus up towards those 2 items. Varus, this is all you really need. Blade of the Rune King and Gwynsu's Rage Blade, you're in good shape right now. Don't worry about the rest of your items. You're dishing out all of that percentage health damage that you could possibly want.
Most University have been able to make the picks happen, but this time it might be UCD actually looking for the pick here as Katonki able to get the boot scoot away, but still hit by that Dark Binding, and they will eventually cut through the defenses of the Urgot. Shutdown comes through for Hanash. UCD really beginning to find a rhythm now, even on the back foot.
And look at the rest of UCD, the way they play around that. Kevin Man backs towards their own base to make sure they can't get caught out. Munch as well rotates in towards their jungle where they've got the vision control in place. They know that the 2 carries are safe, so they're free to go for that. And again, wave management isn't quite key for the side of Ulster University right now, so aren't able to pick off anyone when they commit 3 people to the bottom side on UCD.
Now a couple of objectives spawning in just under a minute. The Infernal and the Baron, both things that these teams would like to get for themselves at this stage in the game. Where do you think the priority is going to come through? I think from Ulster University, first of all, because they're the ones who are still ahead and can still rule that fog of war. But UCD, on the other hand, may feel a little bit more galvanized to fight at these objectives if they can get in cleanly for a 5v5.
I'd be surprised to see priority on either side go towards that Infernal. It's always going to be the Baron here. Maybe someone on UCD could try and solo that out for them, but it's not going to be Kexis who's going to be able to do so. The whole idea here is Mr. Darkness wants to be the one leading the charge. Get that vision control, as you're saying, in around this red buff. Try and pick off Munch or any other solo who happens to be walking through there by themselves. They're trying to do that now. They're trying to establish their vision control. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too late. UCD are already here to make sure that they're fighting them every step of the way.
It'll be quite a bit more difficult for UUSU to secure vision control in that top side jungle. UCD a lot more able to contest them in that regard. There's Katonki hanging around the Infernal pit. I wonder, will Hanash jump on down and find himself an Urgot? As soon as he does, Katonki actually just going to back off. This might be a take for Hanash here. Ulster University, though, rather than splitting towards the top side of the map, choosing to make their own way down. We see the team fight coming out as well. On the hunt will be Pop. Kexi is trying to get into that back line. Oh, Horny Ghoul, though, once again, just being soloed out by Munch. There is no protection. There is no chance. Guardian trades back onto the Vladimir here, but now the sustained damage from UCD just doing wonders for them. Hanash and Kevin Man pumping out all the damage that they need. Mr. Darkness trying to scuttle away on the Skarner, dodges out of the decimating smash, but once again, UCD winning the team fight and really beginning to take control now. Guardian actually going to go down. Oh, the replay!
Yeah, the replay's going to be here, but it doesn't matter, Whimsy. The fight's already over. It's all done with. The second Horny Ghoul goes down here. There's no consistent damage, though, for Ulster University, and despite the fact that Tonki's trying to go toe-to-toe with Hanash, they end up falling. Kexius is doing a great job here of zoning people in this fight. Guardian is forced back out of there. It separates out Ghoul, so then Munch has to try and dive onto them, and now UCD, they get the Infernal Drake and they get the Baron.
Once again, another team fight goes the way of UCD, and this time both an Infernal Drake and a Baron to boot. And this is that stage of the game where, for the first time, Ulster University are fighting from behind. They are going to be under a whole heap of pressure, and they have to be so scared of getting caught out by an engage.
And it's sad to see, because Ulster University played the early games so well. They knew exactly where they wanted to shut down, which was Kevin Man and Yo in that bottom lane. They had a decent mid lane as well. Munch trying something a little bit new, gave Guardian the opportunity to start off in these roams, and it worked well. They look like, okay, cool, we've got our guidebook, we've got exactly how we want to play this, let's just execute to perfection. Unfortunately, the problem is, once they started to drift into that mid-game, that plan of action seemed to disappear, and now Kexis is the one that wants to rip that open.
Once again, gunning straight for the Sivir. This time, though, not able to get to Ghoul just yet, and they pick off Yo at the front of the fight. That's one member down. Kexi is, meanwhile, able to trade back onto the Zoe, though, and that could be huge for UCD. Once again, Kevin Man flashing forward. He is feeling bold, and He's not going to be punished for it as the Alistair goes down, and now the damage really coming through. Katanki, though, maybe able to make an impact on the side of the fight as that Urgot. The shutdown comes through onto the Kale. Meanwhile, the double kill, though, from Vladimir. He's just sustaining. That is what you want from your Vladimir at this stage in the game, when there is nothing the Urgot can do despite getting onto that backline. A triple kill for this Vladimir. Struggled early, but coming into his own late game.
And now the sole survivor on the Rift right now as well. Munch has come out and stood tall on this Vladimir. 7-3-3, now pushing into the base of Ulster University.
He can assist those minions to take this tower. Respawn's not coming in for a little while, so he has a little bit of time to make the push happen, but does not want to stick around, doesn't want to risk getting caught out. He will back off with the base broken open by UCD.
And you can see here how well UCD are playing these fights. Guardian gets onto Yo, but instantly words are tough, man. Instantly gets bound up, means that they're able to get caught out, and then Kevin Man, that confidence in this Varus pick starting to come back. Flashes forward, does end up getting paid for by Katonki, but unfortunately Katonki is late to this fight. It was a 4 versus 5 for a large proportion of this, and Munch is here to just finish up this fight with the Hemoplague.
That's exactly the Hemoplague that you want. Just the 2 low health bars at the end. You see him pop. Very satisfying and very good for Munch now, who, if we remember, not too long ago was 0-2-1, dying in side lanes on his own. As soon as they group up 5 versus 5, his Vladimir has been immense. And Ulster University seemingly with no answer for him diving their backline.
And you can see now that the Executioner Callings have been picked up as well by Katonki and Ghoul, so they're trying to see if they can make something work here. Unfortunately, I think it's just a little bit too late, especially when Katonki isn't getting into these fights to start things off. You're 8-4 on this Urgot. You really need this Urgot to be with you pretty much at all points in time, and you need some way of starting off these fights before you get engaged on. That's not what's happening, but 2 big ultimates now tossed away by UCD. Here comes the re-engage.
On the hunt, BGS Curtis using the headbutt to try get in there. A big knock-up as well from the Pulverize, but the stasis will come out and slow the damage coming through. Meanwhile, once again, Ghoul face-to-face with the Vladimir as the rest of his team just taken out trying to dive the backline. Munch is all that UCD need to contend with the damage coming through from Ulster University. Guardian and Ghoul fleeing for their lives, and UCD still with Baron buff available. All 5 members standing may just be able to push towards the end.
That could be the case. Whimsy's 30 seconds on BGS Curtis before they respawn. It's only Guardian and Ghoul. Guardian might be able to pick off one, but instead finds themselves in a lot of trouble.
Jumps in as the Zoe and nearly finds himself deleted. He has to go back to Fountain. Ghoul as well, nothing he can do as the Scion bearing down on him, and the comeback in game 1 with a bad start. UCD turning it around and will strike first blood in this series.
And that's just the importance of playing to your composition strengths, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not going to do so, unfortunately, you're not going to end up winning. They had that strong early game coming through from Ulster University. They had the opportunities to try and get the vision control, try and get picks. But unfortunately, BGS Curtis goes a little bit too far one time, and that was all that UCD needed to get control of the map, get the minion waves in place, and get that vision back in control for themselves.
This goes to show all it took was that one team fight against the team fighting comp, and they were able to just take it from there with these big damage champions in the late game, especially Munch, really turning around after a poor start.
Yeah, and that was so well done. Munch, I'm incredibly impressed on. We were saying before this that this guy has been a standout performer on the utility mid laners, the likes of even the Morgana. I think he did 37% damage in one of the games for the team's damage. Incredibly strong on the utility supports. Now we've seen them come in onto an actual damage dealer, and Munch just looks like they're set to be the new threat for this UCD roster.
Even more headaches to contend with for Ulster University after the headache that losing that game 1 will likely give them. We are going to go to a short break as the teams get ready for the second game of this series. So stick around, guys, and we'll be back with game 2 in just a few. Well, we saw a very interesting game one with Ulster University coming out of the gates on fire, but UCD held their composure, held their resolve, and managing to bounce back with some big team fights to go one up in this series.
Yeah, I think those team fights really did douse the Flames very, very quickly when they did get into that. And it did come back to, as we were saying, the compositions. If you're going to go for this pick-heavy style with the Zoe and with that Skarner, you got to go play like it. You got to try and catch them out as they're in rotations. And unfortunately, that was not what they did. They tried to go full force into those team fights, and they paid dearly for it.
Exactly. Ulster University may look to change things up a little bit. The pick comp, they were so good in the first 20 minutes of that game. They were doing everything that they needed. Guardian was making these big plays on the Zoe. They were using the Sivir ultimate and the Alistair very effectively just to find kill after kill. And then when they had that Baron buff, they just didn't know what to do with it. So is it a case of them swapping up the composition and looking for something that they can close out the game with?
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to see that. I think I'd like to see them go towards a team fight style. If you're going to get these leads anyway, which it looks like they just were nigh on unstoppable in that early game, then play towards something that you can just take these team fights. I'd want to see BGS Curtis back on this Alistair. I think it was very, very strong. I thought Gould played incredibly well in the Sivir, but just mix it up a little bit in that mid lane. Rather than going for something like the Zoe, maybe try and go towards something that's a little bit more team fight orientated. Even maybe an Orianna or something like that wouldn't even be the worst thing. Still can be that big lane bully there for Guardian, but at least now you've got that big team fight impactful shockwave.
Looking at UCD, who had those team fights go their way, really able to execute in that stage of the game, but there were struggles in the first 20 minutes. So do they need to swap things up quite a bit? Because I'm not sure they can take another beating like that in the early stages of the game.
I think the difference is get Hanash onto something that's a little bit more proactive. I was saying it in the game, I want to say it again. I thought it was a little bit greedy. I thought it was a little bit disrespectful coming through from UCD saying, look, yous aren't going to punish us. We can go for everything is going to scale into infinity and we're going to win through that. Now, it did work out for them, but I think it's still not the way that you want to play. If it was a different composition, they would have been punished a lot more heavily for it. So I'd rather see Hanash come back onto something that can actually have a little bit more of an impact and can be good in getting that early vision control as well. I felt they were quite lacking when it came to wards, particularly around the river, and that allowed for Guardian to go for these roams, allowed the Skarner to have the impact that we saw in that bottom lane and set up a lot of Mr. Darkness's play.
Yeah, we're certainly looking for both teams to make some adjustments. I believe we are just about getting into the pick and ban phase for Game 2 here. Any new champions that need to be taken away from either teams? Because I think there were a few surprises on both sides, especially on the Ulster University side with, I think, Mr. Darkness on that Skarner really causing more problems than we expected.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Darkness's Skarner be banned away. I thought there was a lot that was banned in the last game that could definitely be flexed about with if they do want to go for that. But we are seeing pretty much the similar story coming through from UCD. The Ken banned away. Wouldn't be surprised to see that Victor banned away a second time as well. But we will have to see if they're going to keep that third ban open for something a little bit new.
And certainly Katonki on the Urgot, still with the nice performance, but not quite the dominant member of UUSU that they needed. So potentially the same ban strategy towards that top lane. Once again, Kennen and Kindred will be denied by both sides. So still wary of what can be done there. I'm really curious to see what UCD, because UCD actually foregoing the Poppy in that game one as well is something that we forgot to mention, considering how reliable Kexius has been on that. The Scion was just fine though, so showing that he's more than 1-2 trick in that top lane. He could do it on a number of different times.
It's like one trick but one tone. It's just whatever it is, it's just going to be a case of I'm on tank, I hit things, I get hit, it all works out fine.
Yep, that's all UCD need though apparently from their top laner, and he's doing a very good job of keeping that laning phase as stable as possible. Once again, Victor being denied. We're not seeing anything new in these first few picks. UCD, I'm curious as what they go. Now that they're on the blue side for this game as well, we saw UUSU grab the Sivir first as well in the previous game. Is that something that UCD may look to mirror now that they have that first pick?
Well, see, I don't feel like the Sivir was the big impact there. I actually think it was enabled a lot more. And then we could see in the team fights it was very swiftly dealt with by Munch as well. A short-range AD carry is perfect for a Vladimir. It means that you can just dive on them straight away. You don't have to go too heavily into the backline as well, so you got a little bit more safety there. I think the Sivir's fine. I'd like to see them try and prioritize something a little bit better for for either Munch or Kexis as well. Hanash wouldn't be a bad one either. You could go towards that Jarvan, was one that I was actually expecting to see come through a little bit earlier on in the draft rather than going for that kill. But and as well, you got that flexibility there. Kexis, it's Jarvan, still fits into that tank role if you want to. Quite an easy champion when it comes to those combos and stuff like that. So it's definitely something you can just toss in there and make work if they want to go for that.
UCD seemingly pretty happy with what they took away last game, going for the Sylas denial once more. Not fearing anything that UUSU brought out in Game 1. So if UUSU wants to stick with the similar composition, they might be able to get their hands on a lot of the champions they had previously. But they don't want to go against the Vladimir again. They are very scared of what Munch was doing in those late game team fights. So no more Vladimir for him.
But it's a very interesting thought now. Munch has now popped something new in towards this series where you go, okay, not only have you got to ban that away, but I've just shown that I've got a way different champion pool than you were expecting to see coming into this. We were looking Lissandra, Morgana, these types of picks. Now you're seeing a damage dealer come out and to a top-notch performance as well. This suddenly changes up everything when you're looking at the side of Ulster University, because now they've got a very different style of mid laner to contend with.
And still placing quite a high priority on that Morgana pick. Still their ultimate flex, taking it first in this draft. So any repeat picks that Ulster University want, maybe the Sivir, maybe the Skarner, the Alistair, they can grab them now and try making them work.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Alistair coming in again. It worked incredibly well. BGS Curtis, regardless of whether the Morgana was there, was still finding that other member to go and engage on. And oftentimes, was a little bit selfish when it came to that Black Shield, actually using it to keep themselves safe and not looking after Kevinman. Now, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you were still getting kills across, but it just meant they were able to punish regardless. And it looks like it will be the Sivir locked in for the moment anyway. But Mr. Darkness does have that Skarner up again if they just want to try and lock that in right now.
Potentially scared of Hanash looking to take it away with the white champion pool that he has. Looks as if they're going to go back to it for this one. Mr. Darkness, early in that Game 1, you mentioned how he would not be able to have too much of an impact and really punish the Kale pick, but I think he proved you wrong a little bit, because he was very strong in that early game, really causing a lot of problems for UCD.
That was the difference, was he wouldn't be able to punish Hanash in their own jungle, but could still impact the map, and I think that was the big difference. And I thought at least with Yo in that bottom lane, having that Black Shield there, you would have been able to keep Kevinman a little bit more safe. But unfortunately, BGS Curtis just said, nah, son, this is not how this is going down.
Yeah, with UCD, though, taking the Zillion and the Hecarim, so they're changing things up quite a bit. We saw the Zillion banned away in Phase 2 last game. Munch not wanting that pick to be denied from him a second time. And
we're seeing this Hecarim as well come in as the flex. So you can either toss that up into the top lane or can go into that jungle. We are on 9.6, don't forget, so you're still getting that 10% rampage just came in on this patch. So we'll have that available and be able to dish out quite a bit of damage, particularly if you want to go towards that Conqueror, that more aggressive team fighting style, or if you want to go instead towards the Electrocute, where it's just a case of Pony see, Pony kill.
Yeah, certainly Pony will be looking to do quite a bit of killing this game around, especially with the backup from Zillion. He can put out quite a bit of burst with a bit of extra safety as well. But the third pick for UUSU will be the Tam Kench. BGS Curtis looking to maybe help out his AD carry a little bit more than he was able to in the previous game.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in a mixed match with this. I really liked seeing BGS Curtis on the Alistair. I thought they played that incredibly well. I thought it was one of the big reasons that they were finding these plays in the bottom lane. I don't think they need more protection. I think they needed more of a team fight, actually aggressive style that would allow them to come to fruition with a lot of the advantages that they'd gotten. But they are going to go for the Tam Kench, a much more passive lane. Means that they're really looking instead to just protect themselves against Kevinman and Yo, and maybe see if Mr. Darkness wants to open up that top side of the map instead.
Potentially that's the strategy for UUSU. Ash once again will be denied in the second phase, with UCD still left to lock in an AD carry. And we've been told that due to production error, Teemo is actually Varus in disguise. So Kevinman not going to be able to pick up that champion again. Likewise, the Zoe will be denied from Guardian, so no repeat performance from him in Game 2. But he's got a host of different champions.
Yeah, it's actually just skin spotlight that's coming through. It's definitely not Varus in that position instead. It's going to be the new April Fool's one for next year.
Oh,
you got to wait a little while.
We got the advanced level.
Yeah. I mean, it's tournament realm. We got everything on it. Come on. We are going to be looking at the Syndra band away anyway against Guardian. Not surprised to see that one come through at all. But the big question is, what do they want to lock in? because you've got the mid and the top lane there, you've got to figure out who do you actually want to keep the counter pick for. It looks like in this case with the LeBlanc hover here, they're looking to pick up their mid lane and then get the best matchup for Katonki in that top lane.
Well, they already have the counter pick in that mid lane against the Zilean, and choosing to go for the LeBlanc here. Guardian does like to make a statement with his laning phase here, and LeBlanc's certainly a champion you can do that on.
But this is the thing, it becomes very difficult to actually kill the Zilean when you get to level 6. Of course, has that ultimate, that revive available, and you're not going to be able to really burst them out. So again, I think we're going to be looking at Guardian to go, okay, I've cleared out the minions in my wave, where am I going? Where's the side lane I want to go and impact?
Guardian worked quite well from him in that game 1, really with a big impact whenever he roamed to that bottom side of the map. But it will be a Xayah.
So,
taken away.
I was checking my notes here. So, Varus was not a pick that Kevin Man had played before, and neither is Xayah. So, still the only champion that this guy has played that's been has been played twice is Sivir. So, I don't know if there's any AD carries left for this man to play.
Teemo. He could actually go for the Teemo.
Yes, yeah.
But choosing the Xayah here, and actually they're going to grab the Urgot for themselves. It will be a Hecarim in the jungle for Hanash and Kexius. We were giving him a little bit of stick about the tank, so now he's going on something that could potentially do a bit of bullying on his own.
Well, we will have to see what they want to go for on the far side. I'm kind of glancing down. Kennen is banned away. The other big counter towards Urgot is going to be that Jace. Could see Katonki potentially take that. Any sort of range at all really screws with Urgot. Essentially what you want to do with Urgot is try and poke down a little bit against these melee champs, then go in and get that aggression, see if you can turn around. But champion like Jace is not going to allow you to do that. You can poke from afar and make sure that spider can never really get those scurrying little legs on top of you.
Ghost of Dreams is a genius confirmed. The Jace is locked in for Katonki, a new champion that he is bringing out after the Urgot in Game 1 was the first time as well for the Collegiate Championship. Counterpick should go well for him. Can he take over that 1 versus 1?
They could flex this though. So Urgot can be played in the jungle as well with Conquer and Smite. So there is the opportunity now, if they want to send Kexius onto the Hecarim. Be a very different style of champion that we've seen before. It is an opportunity there if they want to go for it, but I'm still waiting to see if that is going to be the case.
Waiting a while on these swaps for UCD. That would be an interesting little flex and would change things quite a bit, like you said in that top lane matchup. Katonki probably feeling fairly confident that he would have that 1 versus 1, but if he's against the Hecarim, like you said, could make things a bit trickier, but it looks as if UCD are going with that Urgot in the top side. So he has the matchup as expected. We saw him with the nice lane in Game 1, but he was never really forcing the issue on that Urgot pick when they were on their own 1 versus 1. The Jace potentially can do a little bit more.
But that was the thing. We never really saw the jungler get up there. Mr. Darkness never really came up to help out to Katonki, which is what I really would have liked to see before this. Now, though, you've got the Jace where you can solo punish. You don't have to worry about that help too much because you can just poke from afar.
Players have loaded into Summoner's Rift. Ready for Game 2. UCD with that 1-0 lead, but it was quite an uphill battle for them in Game 1. Managing to turn things around after one of the roughest starts that you could ask for. May look to have a slightly quicker start in this second game, but Ulster University changing things up a little bit themselves as well.
I think the difference this time around, though, is that Tam Kench in the bottom lane. We're now not going to see the aggression come in from BGS Curtis, which signals to me that Mr. Darkness wants to go for a very different style in this game. Not focusing on that bottom lane, instead looking to punish. I'd assume it's going to be Kexius in that top lane. You've already got that winning matchup there with Katonki. Just a couple of extra kills in the back pocket would most certainly get this Jace going early. And look at the summoner choice as well. Or sorry, the rune choice as well. That Airy means that we're going for a very poke-heavy style coming in from this Jace that's looking to burst out the members on UCD. And that becomes very difficult to deal with. UCD want to team fight. They want to get in and try and get those revives off using Munch. But if you're just getting poked and whittled away through Guardian, through Katonki, you no longer get the opportunity to try and use that revive, at least offensively, or to win a team fight, because you're poked out before the fight even starts.
And struggling there with the red buff just a little bit. Not able to finish it off with the Hecarim helicopter. But the Guardian, I think this game, if he performs at a similar level to what he did in Game 1, once again could be set for not only another strong performance, but also a similar performance where he plays in that fog of war, looks to pick these individual members off. We know he can put in these big shows on the assassins as well, so all it takes is for him to get a bit of pressure going, get a couple of early kills, and he can snowball into that mid-game.
But this is like the Munch special. supports that play mid lane. You know, he's played Zillion several times. That bottom lane is quite the aficionado when it comes to this, but we don't know how he feels up against those assassins in mid lane, particularly as we've already seen struggling to keep control of the lane, and Guardian already starting to get those roams off.
A cheeky little take of the small chickens. Quick visit to KFC for Guardian. Nets to himself the kids meal and will return back to the mid lane. Just a little bit more fed than his opponent. That is exactly the nice pace setter in the mid lane, I think, for him. Able to use that early pressure. And once again, immediately moving out of that mid lane. They know Hanash is in that top side, and the Hecarim backing off. He knows the LeBlanc and the Jace are on their way down. Able to get the Skarner Shrine, and they'll be able to hand over the Scuttle Crab as well. Ulster University really on the same page, working nicely in the first few minutes of this game.
Looks like they were trying to upgrade to a family bucket there with everyone that was moving around the place, making sure, you know, everyone working together, but in the bottom lane, BGS Curtis not looking so
hit
hot.
by the binding, has to use the cleanse as well. Once again, early pressure for Kevin Man and Yo in the 2 versus 2, making things tricky for Ghoul and Curtis. These guys, left to their own devices, seem to always cause problems for the Ulster University duo.
And it always seems to be in these early levels as well, where they're just like, oh no, we're fine, we're just going to farm, and then wait a second, where my health bar go? BJ's Curtis, the second time now getting caught out, did have the opportunity to turn around with some great help coming through from the team in the last game. Does have that opportunity again with Guardian, but on a much less aggressive support, as we pointed out before, so I would be surprised to see that happen. This time, as you're saying, left to their own devices, it's not working out.
Ignite
so well.
being used, and the damage comes through once again. Too much crowd control for the Kench to escape, and Ghoul as well, dropped very low, has to flash out of the tormented soil. UCD for the second game in a row getting first blood just through a kill in the 2v2.
And we can see why they're putting such high priority on this Morgana as well. It's just shutting down anything that the bottom lane from Ulster University want to try and go for. But in this top lane, Katonki is going aggressive onto Kexius.
A lot of damage coming through though as he gets in close range and has to knock the Urgot away. The Jace a little bit too close for comfort there, and you're going to able to trade back nicely. Now Hanash thinking of a trade in the mid lane here, but Guardian able to play it out nice and safe with the distortion. Mr. Darkness maybe thinking of turning this around to a 2 versus 2, but Hecarim, Zillion, very fast, very tricky to catch up to.
They will be able to get out of there nice and handily. Trying to see if they can push in that wave and let Munch to back nice and early, pick up that tier, so then they can start to get that one stacking. Does have the teleport available to get back relatively easily as well.
I saw in that bottom lane 2 plates already taken by Kevaman and Yo, as well as a minor farm lead. The Zaya looking to only get the recall off now, but that's a very early Caulfield's Warhammer here, and left alone, it's just going to be more of the same. Kevaman and Yo with the run of this lane, and this game, no Mr. Darkness to upset the party.
But they're still heavily lacking when it comes towards that vision control. They do have one ward in towards that mid lane, but they haven't really been able to establish too much around the map. And this is where I'd really like to see them do that, because Mr. Darkness will thrive in that environment.
Pops the Predator, but Kexius just pops the flash in response to keep himself safe from the Skarner. This game, you called it, Mr. Darkness looking for more topside pressure, but so far no dice for him. And in the bottom lane, Kevin Man looking to roll the dice one more time. Ghoul being focused out here, has no summoners. Curtis going to gobble him up, but they still have enough CC to catch up. Kevin Man with his flash forward will get the second kill of the game for UCD, and they're looking to make it number 3. The Blade Caller nearly takes out Curtis. So close. He will not fall, but UCD still racking up these kills on the bottom side.
And in such a strong fashion as well. I don't know what Ghoul's doing here. I'm waiting for him to go, okay, Kevin Man's walked up, there's something going on here, but
it's cannon minion.
I mean, is it really worth it? And I gotta say here, Yo again is actually aiming for Ghoul, but manages to catch out BGS Curtis. And now we look in the top lane,
Kexius
Kexius
finally being punished here by the Skarner. Even has level 6 available, but no mana to make it work. That was close, but it wasn't enough, and Katonki able to get the first kill of the game for UUSU.
That was a little bit too close for comfort there. But Katonki is able to find the kill. Kexius will get punished. And we got to see now how... Oh, actually, I'm only noticing now as well. The Urgot had just backed there, so is now in a lot of trouble because the teleport is down. Katonki has that to get back to lane. Munch, though, under pressure from Mr. Darkness.
Big trade in this mid lane. Using the flash, actually. Not willing to risk it there, even with the chrono shift available. Using the summoner spell to get himself to safety and avoiding the Skarner gank. Level 6 not available for Mr. Darkness yet, so not really the very scary Skarner gank that you're used to, but In any case, Munch, rather safe than sorry.
Will work out for them this time around, but do have to be careful. You can see, even though Munch, as you're saying, has that ultimate available, if he went down there, would have definitely been caught out and would have passed away because of it. Now we're looking at level 6 being hit for these junglers, and this is going to be a very crucial time. And this is what I wanted to point out earlier on, is in the last game we saw that Mr. Darkness hit that level 6 points, and that was like the go button. This is where he started to get active on the map, getting down towards that bottom lane. The issue though is Hanash now on a jungler that hits just as big a power spike at that level 6. Having that ultimate available means that they can now start to get in and see if they can try and counteract some of these ganks. Again, though, we're seeing very little vision from both sides. Very defensive warding coming in from the side of Ultra University, whereas it's lacking pretty much in blue across the board for the side of UCD.
We see both junglers now have hit that level 6 point. Onslaught of Shadows and Impale set to have a huge impact in both ganks and team fights. On the top lane, a few more trades coming through. Katanki doing a nice job with the lead he has. Guardian is actually going to find himself a Hecarim who was thinking about making a play on the top side. Double distortion as well, but he's going to miss the chain. Still forcing out the Hecarim ultimate, but not quite able to execute that as cleanly as he would like. Hanash makes it out alive.
That's what we were talking about, though, as we start to go towards the later stages of the game. That combo between Katanki and Guardian can deal so much damage to anyone who's unfortunate enough to get caught up in that. Kevin Man, though, will take a tongue lash and actually ends up being a little bit worse for wear when it comes to that bottom lane trade.
I only ever see Yo hit these bindings.
Yeah.
He's always on point. Even just a small one there to make Curtis's day a little bit worse in this bot lane, but he's been pretty on point. And once again, continuing to have to weather the storm.
Think he's going to miss that? Yo way, man.
You spent a whole 10 seconds being like, give it over to me, let me talk. And that was what you gave me. Wow. All right.
This is why I'm here. This is what I bring to the broadcast.
You don't get to talk for the rest of the cast. Solo cast now, game 2. You've lost.
Go for it.
You've lost.
I want to hear your color casting again.
Never mind, that was a joke. Hanash, no joke in this top lane if he can make this gank work for himself. Doesn't have the ultimate, but Katanki's still surrounded in a lot of trouble here. And Kexius will look for the Fear Beyond Death. He is low and he is reeled back in. Kexius able to get one back in that top side.
And that was without the ultimate as well, just punishing an overextension that was there. Kexius had the Fear Beyond Death, which worked out wonders to try and keep the gank going. Katanki now falling victim to a fantastic gank coming through from Hanash.
With a jungler that can have a lot more of an impact in these laning phases, you're still on that phone from earlier. Robinson smiling to himself on the side. But
I'm a hilarious human being. What do you want from me? Come on.
With that gank in the top side, Hanash showing that he can have an impact on this Hecarim pick. And actually, teleport coming through the top side. Never mind.
I got excited there.
I got you baited.
Observers are debating us. Yeah. I was actually going to point out in the bottom lane how low the turrets were, though. That plating is very quickly vanishing, especially with Sivir going towards that back one last time. Means that they could get caught out. Mr. Darkness, though, trying to take this Rift Herald on the top side with no Hecarim in that top lane. Thanks to that gank, you know that the Hecarim's going to at least be backing around that bottom side. They know they can pick this one up for themselves. So smart call coming through from Mr. Darkness.
He's looking to get that Rift Herald completely unopposed. Curtis looking to get some vision down himself, but UCD with the control ward able to deny it as effectively as they need. But it's just a ruse. Rift Herald will be taken in that top side. Plus University not able to get that objective in the previous game, but now maybe they can make something work with it.
We'll have to see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them toss it down towards that bottom lane. Already, Kevin Man has that Essence Reaver picked up for himself. They're putting out a lot of damage and a lot of sustained push through when it comes towards those waves. With only, actually, do you know, why would you waste it? There's one turret place on that turret in the bottom lane. Just toss it at mid lane or something. I don't care. You've already got that bottom lane turret.
Well, the Ocean Drake is going to be started. UCD with their eyes on a different objective here, and this time, once again, no contest. These junglers playing on opposite sides of the map. Mr. Darkness looking to make a play here if he can get to Kexius at the right time. Predator up in just a few seconds, but they're going to pull the trigger on this one early. Actually flashing forward, has the Impale. Teleporting the top side, though, could turn things around if Munch gets there in time, and he should be able to get the Chrono Shift down in the nick of time. He gets it, and the Urgot will revive in just a few seconds. Immediately pulls the Skarner back in to his death. Meanwhile, we actually cut to the bottom lane here a second, but the double kill does come through in that top side in the end, but more action in the bottom side, which is why we go down. Hanash looking for the engage onslaught of shadows, hits to Kevin Man flashing forward, looking for the blade collar. Ornigul has a flash, BGS Curtis not so lucky. Or is he? He actually manages to get it out, kiting out the Hecarim. Ghoul, though, will be gobbled up right at the end.
Jesus.
The ignite damage won't finish either member.
How?
How? Does not go down at the end of that. Getting away with murder in that bottom lane.
That was unbelievable. I don't know how they survived here. Onslaught of Shadows does mean that they're all put back. I think the focus here should have been on BGS Curse that little bit sooner. They should have been able to take it to Tam Kench, revert back then and pick up that last turret for themselves and start to get that rotation around the map moving. Unfortunately, greed in the eyes. You can see the dollar bills floating back like Scrooge McDuck every time. Ding, ding, ding. But unfortunately, it ends up catching them out that little bit too far. But they got the advantage. Actually, they didn't even get the advantage. Oh, sorry, they did get the advantages in that top lane. Kexi is doing a great job alongside Munch, so it's not all done.
Oh, okay. So Guardian found one, and Kevin Man says, all right, well, I guess I'll take it. Gets the kill onto the LeBlanc as well as that first tower. You said he was looking for the cash earlier, but he's already rolling in it. Meanwhile, that top side, Mr. Jackson is rolling on after Kexius, but he's not going to catch up quickly enough to this Urgot, who is able to retreat to the safety of his own tower. UCD pressing their advantages. Look at that goal lead, close to 4,500. It's like a reverse of the last game completely.
But this is the thing. You've actually got that strong team fighting composition coming through
Oh,
from UCD.
cool. You don't really want to take that fight, and Hanash will show you exactly why. Showing up at the perfect time. Cuts him down. You know, Curtis could be caught out by the Zillion here. The slow comes through, has the cleanse as well. That will be enough to get him to safety, but they are just leaking kills repeatedly on this bottom side of the map.
And it's not going to stop anytime soon either. I mean, you've got not only pushing a 20 CS advantage in that, or sorry, 10 CS advantage in that bottom lane, you're looking at 2 kills as well, an extra assist, all that turret plating alongside the turret goal for that first blood turret as well. It is so messy, and this is what we're expecting from Kevin Man to come through. The big focus for the team, and now they've got the opportunity to push forward. They already have that Essence Reaver, and now a Zeal completed over their opponents.
This again, Guardian trying to see if he can pick off Yo. Actually will force the stopwatch out here, but giving Hanash enough time to go for the re-engage means that Yo will still be standing. Mr. Darkness, though, may not be so fortunate, able to hop over the wall with the blast cone as Kevin Man doing all the damage to Guardian. Mimic helps him get out alive as well as the ethereal chains. And they managed to escape just at the end, but usually just consistently forcing this pressure. And there's no chance for the Rift Herald to be used. It's nearly about to time out for Mr. Darkness.
This is so difficult for the side of Ulster University. Now you're looking at Katonki, will get slowed by the Fear Beyond Death. There goes the Horsey.
And there goes Katonki, I would imagine. He is taking out Kexius, using the ultimate there. Not sure he needed it, but they still get the kill anyway onto that Jace. And now clearing out that mid lane. They left the Rift Herald on the bottom side. Now trying to make a defense happen, but able to get out. The damage doesn't come through before the distortion, but that's Hanash coming through from the backside as well.
Oh,
a huge stun from Munch on the Zillion, and that just sets things up on a silver platter for Kevin Man. Complete decimation under the tower for UCD.
That was disgusting by Munch. We're actually going to get a replay of that fight just here. You can see Hanash being a nuisance in the back lane, and BGS Curtis walks the bomb into the rest of the team. Munch says, thank you very much. I'll pick up that triple setup for the team. And we do see the Rift Arrow come down in the bottom lane. It's not going to do anything because they've lost everything in that mid lane.
Would you believe Munch plays Zillion?
Nah,
that was what a play from him in the middle of that fight, just to completely secure things for UCD in that middle lane. And right now, looking to see if they can put the pressure onto that top side as well. And
what pressure? They have 5 kills on the Urgot. Kexius is popping off right now. It doesn't matter. Everywhere on the map for UCD is just looking absolutely stellar.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Ulster University are supposed to do for the next while. I mean, the Infernal Drake that's spawning will almost certainly be going over to UCD, although not in the position for it right now. Maybe they can snatch it away if they get there quickly enough, but they have to be so wary. They don't have the vision to really get control anywhere on the map, and every time they run into UCD, they fall like flies.
And that's because if we look at the gold difference here, it's 2,000 gold lead for Kexius in the top lane, a 3,000 gold lead for Kevaman in this bottom lane. They are in so much trouble, and Hanash knows that now, trying to see if they can chase down a couple of members here.
Guardian looking for the quick pick onto the Heck Room, but is not able to get it, and now Curtis, he's looking to be taken down, reeled back in after the Blast Cone comes through, looking for Mr. Darkness as well. They find the one pick onto the Tam Kench, turn back towards that Infernal Drake, keeping things rolling, our UCD.
And this is what we should have seen come out from Ulster University in the last game. Keep that pressure up. Just shut down the vision that is going to be there, and see if you can pick off a couple of members. UCD working wonders right now. Double Drake for themselves. Baron coming up in just 2.5 minutes. You can be damn sure that that's going to be in control of UCD.
Nice stun comes through, but the Onslaught of Shadows will follow it up. They take out Mr. Darkness. Guardian as well could be falling. Distortion back actually puts it closer to Hanash, and yeah, there's the Zillion speed up coming through. Hanash though might be caught out, but nice Blast Cone will get him on the right side of this one. Katanki with a nice bit of damage, but not willing to really stick to it here. Oh, the burst from Hanash though might just be enough. Curtis actually gobbling up the Jace before he can finish off the kill, and Yo might have it with the Ignite, with the auto attacks. He gets the kill for himself. Not exactly what Ulster University would have wanted. Curtis has to flash as well to make sure he's not a casualty of the bloodthirsty Morgana. And there is nothing stopping UCD right now.
No, they are just swatting at them like flies. You said it, dropping before our eyes. There's so little Ulster University can do for themselves right now as they start to push in on this top lane tier 2. Kevaman will be backing on the bottom side of the map, so don't have a lot of their members up on the top side here, so may need to back away, which looks like Kexius may want to do.
He's sticking to that tower for quite a while. Mr. Darkness on his own can't really trouble him. Maybe if a few more members of USU show up, but in any case, Kexius is just playing with it with as much pressure as he needs. Look at that goal. 11,000 at 18 minutes.
Holy, yeah. This is a very different game from what we saw last time from Ulster University, and we said it, a very different bottom lane. BGS Curtis not on aggressive support like the Alistair, not able to punish Kevaman and Yo, and we already saw the presence that Kevaman and Yo have in the early game. That just continued and superseded everything that Ulster University's bot lane tried to throw at them.
And potentially game one was just a case of UCD warming up, you know, getting the hands warm, getting the game faces on.
Getting the think box in place.
Exactly. It took them about 20 minutes to do so, and since then they have been indomitable in a lot of aspects of the game. Is there a way back in this one? I mean, Baron's about to spawn as well. Ulster University, can they do anything to contest it? I think right now, though, Katanki is about to be contested. Nice knockaway. Will keep Hanash from taking him out unless he wants to use the Onslaught of Shadows, but not choosing to pop it for the moment.
So there is the potential for Ulster University to start picking people off. You got Darkness on the Skarner, you do have Guardian who can go in for a pick, and of course BGS Curtis can help out rotate, but not if you're dead.
That could be the pick, but the Feather Storm nicely timed, and this could mean that the Skarner's actually turned back onto. Meanwhile on the top side, there comes Hanash trying to finish off that kill. The shutdown actually comes through onto Kevaman, so he does find that pick for himself before, once again, Yo, the real carry of that bot lane, he's able to get the kill. Meanwhile Hanash finally finishes off the Jace. UCD across the map, it's 2 for 1.
But can they pick up anything else here? You can see Heckram still pushing in the top lane, should clear out this top lane tier 2. Zillion and Morgana are here trying to maybe see if they can pick off Ghoul, but will be quite difficult with that spell shield. I feel like this is the moment where you reset and make sure you're still able to keep control of that Baron area.
I think it's not going to be easy for Ulster University to contest the control of that Baron area, if that is the plan for them. I'm not sure they really want to go into any fog of war. There's the Morgana binding, there's a Zillion stun, there's so many ways you can just instantly die.
I mean, the Baron is literally spawned 50 seconds, and the only place that they have control of right now is their own base. Every tower, outer tower at least, has been taken so far. You can see that they got one ward in the pit, but I mean, it's kind of like, okay, cool, they're doing it. Can we do anything? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just a case of they keep an eye on it. I think if UCD were to go to, they'd just be like, cool. All right, we'll clear these minions, I guess.
Look, we'll deal with you in a second. We're going to take this big purple buff, and then we'll go and deal with you, okay?
Yeah, exactly. That's UCD It feels like at this stage they can just do what they want. Ulster University with very little to contest them. If they can find these picks potentially, but it's been few and far between.
And I think this is where I want to see a bit of a difference come in from the side of Ulster University. We said it, a little bit more of an aggressive bot lane. I don't think the Tam Kench has really been working out in their favour. It's kind of scrambling to fix problems that are already too out of control to try and just plug holes or throw plasters over. And unfortunately, it means that they're actually netting a huge amount of loss here.
They might have this. Guardian looking for Munch at the back of the fight, not able to finish off the kill. And in comes the team fight. Horses in the back. Hanash going on in, and he's nearly able to finish off the kill. He goes down himself, but they have the first kill of the fight. And now Kexi is just running them down. Finally getting to be the big carry for UCD as he just tears through that backline. Katonki thinks he has one onto Munch, but there's the chrono shift. He was saving it the whole time, and now there's no saving Katonki. A quadra kill for Flexius in that top lane, and UCD just wipe Ulster off the map.
10, 1 and 2. Kexi says, I'll have you. They'll get the Baron. They'll get so much out of that play. And we're going to have a replay here. I want you to look at how deep Mr. Darkness, well, you're not going to get to see it, but how deep Mr. Darkness needed to go there. Only able to grab Yo. And that's exactly where Yo wants to be right now. Toss out the ultimate, able to get a huge amount of damage out, a lot of CC out from there, and you're just not able to burst anyone down. They're too far behind right now, and Kexi is able to finish off the 4 kills in that fight.
And they should let him play Urgot more often.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
He's doing fairly well. 10, 1 and 2. Man, I don't know what they can do in team fights at this stage.
And this is a big thing here as well. We were looking at Katonki as the person who would dictate this lane. Katonki was the big winner when we were looking at that top lane matchup. Kexis has put a stop to that and said, hold the phone. I want to go up against Katonki in a bad matchup where the Jace should be winning. Now 10, 1 and 2 against the Jace who's 1 and 6. Yes, got a little bit of help early from Hanash, but was doing incredibly well in that lane even before they saw that jungle intervention.
Now Baron buff being used to try chip down this inhibitor tower. Defense from Ulster University, all 5 in that mid lane. They can clear the waves a little bit. The Sivir, the Jace potentially can do it from a bit of range, but you have to be so wary once again of just this CC. I think if they catch one member out on the Ulster University side, they can follow that in with the dive under the tower here. Mr. Darkness might actually be the catch, able to get back to the safety of his own base. But Ulster University right now just sitting back and watch Guardian trying to see what he can find, but there's just nothing coming for him.
This is where Ulster University should be shining, and that sounds very strange when I say that. But underneath these towers where they can get the poke from Guardian, they can have Jace throw out a couple of those accelerated shot blasts, they should be the ones that are able to poke back. That's not the case though. They are so far behind. Only now the Duskblade being completed by Katonki because there's no damage. They're nowhere near capable of trying to keep him off this turret. And even you can see Katonki struggling to get Hanash off the top lane.
Yeah, Hanash meanwhile just messing with him on the top side. Katonki actually able to get the solo kill though off screen, but so he will hold the line in that top side, but there's no holding the line in the bottom lane. They take the inhibitor here. On the hunt being used though. Maybe they think they can make the fight happen. Jumping on Kevman at the back, but Yo once again on a killing spree. This Morgana has been on fire this game. They find Mr. Darkness as well, and as soon as they run in, Ulster University have to run out, but there is no running away from Kexius, who continues his rampage. Ghoul is his last victim. He was the last man standing, and now Ulster University are no more in Game 2. These towers will be finished off with the help of the minions walking on up. A little bit of a dance party at the Nexus as well, and UCD will move to match point in this final.
And what a manner to do so. UCD very much in command, even to getting the solo kills, well, duo kills in the bottom lane as well. Looks absolutely fantastic. I think this is where we need to see a mix-up coming through from Ulster University. They keep playing these compositions that are actually incredibly hard to execute on. If you've got this poke style that's coming through with the Jace and also with Guardian on that LeBlanc, you've got to be the ones that are in the lead, or at least be the ones that are going aggressive. Otherwise, you see exactly what just happened. You go off into a side lane, you end up getting caught out, you're able to get dove underneath these turrets as well. And I need to see BGS curse on something that they can actually go aggressive in. Taking that step back and trying to take the passive route, I thought as well was the game plan coming into this. I think take your foot off the pedal, just go with something like an Ezreal. You can farm your way through that lane. Unfortunately, you're not being given that opportunity. Yo on this Morgana has looked absolutely incredible and has shut down any opportunity you've had of taking it easy in that lane. I think you need to got to go in the offensive here.
Yes, certainly. And UCD, though, showing that they can do this in a number of different ways. They can come back from behind the team fighting comps, and that game just dominance in every area of the map, just showing up huge. And it has to be so scary for Ulster University knowing that with the right champions, UCD can just completely wipe them out in the early game.
And this was it. It wasn't even like, oh, one lane was kind of going even. It was Munch was kind of the only one in the mid lane.
I mean, those
that was
big
a triple
stunts,
bomb.
man.
Yeah, that was all you needed. Munch was doing their job. It was, I'm not going to win against LeBlanc, but I'm going to farm, and then I'm going to be a big L nuisance when you get to those mid-game team fights, and that's exactly what they did. Kexius, 12-1. You've got Kevin Man and Yo in the bottom lane, and as well, you've got that Hecarim coming in from the jungle that looked incredibly strong.
Exactly, UCD making a statement there in Game 2 and now find themselves one game away from being the Collegiate champions for 2019. Once again, we're going to go to a short break as the teams get themselves ready for the third game. So stick around, guys, and we'll be bringing you Game 3 in just a few minutes.
I love you. all the brighter lights fade, and midnight hides our hearts. We come alive in the flames. We're electric in this love. Gonna break this conversation. Let go of imaginations. Gonna fade into love sensation. In this heartbeat, heartbeat. It falls like rain in the room. Collides so softly. In every moment's breath, we awaken brand new life. Shadows of silhouettes, two hearts tangled in the moonlight. Gonna break this conversation. Let go of imaginations. Gonna fade into love sensation. In this heartbeat, falls like rain in the room. Collides so softly. The rhythm of the way we move. The sound of a
And we are back with the third game of the Collegiate Championship 2019 final. And UCD, slow start to game one, turn it around. Game two was a completely different story for them. They, from minute one, just completely took over and now riding a massive wave of momentum into what is potentially the final game.
And this is the problem, is that if you give them an early game like that where they can just kind of do what they want, they're going to pick you apart. We saw it just duo kills in the bottom lane. Kexy's played fantastically in the top lane, and you've got Munch doing Munch things in the mid lane. So you've got to find some way of disrupting that early game like we saw in game one, but then go for a composition that actually team fights. Don't go for this pick style that we saw in game one, the poke heavy style in game two. Just go and team fight. That's all you have to do. If you're ahead like you were in game one, you will win the team fights anyway. The players here are not bad players. Like, everyone can play incredibly well to a very high level of League of Legends. Just give them the opportunity to do that.
I mean, we saw them in game one. They showed that they can perform.
Yeah.
It was just, as you said, maybe the comps being a little bit too difficult, maybe it not being something that they're used to. They're capable of playing champions that can get themselves these early leads and then just run at the enemy team, destroy them, use their team fight power to make plays around neutral objectives, or even just to use that Baron buff so they can dive under the towers or just press forward with them. Things that are potentially simply need to dial it back a little bit, but at the same time, UCD picking up a lot of pace in that early game, they also have to compensate for that as well. So still a lot of things for Ulster University to have to consider coming into this draft in game 3.
And you've got to shore up that bottom lane. This is the big one that you got to look at. Make sure that, as we are about to go into pick and ban, that we do actually get something that can keep themselves safe in the bottom lane. BGS Curtis needs to have at least, I'd say, the Alistair to give him at least something that's not Tam Kinch, something that can actually do something in that bottom lane.
Yeah, so will they go back to it? Back on the blue side as well. So they have that first pick priority. We saw them make the change for game 2 by banning away the Vladimir. Is there anything else that they need to consider after falling in the second game?
I mean, Morgana. I mean, Yo has looked incredible on it. Even if the Black Shields haven't been quite there, the Dark Bindings have looked impeccable. Tormented Soil has meant that they're continuously pushing in that wave, and it makes it way more difficult for the likes of that bottom lane on the side of Ulster University to try and keep themselves in check, try and keep themselves out from underneath the turret, and not fall victim to all these multiple skill shots that are coming their way.
And I doubt we're going to see any change from UCD. They've been happy with their bans all series long, and there's no reason to be unhappy after how that second game went. They're limiting the impact of Katonki in that top lane with these picks. And specifically, is there anything that he can try do in terms of this pick ban phase to help himself out? Because he's just not really been generating the advantages that his team needs.
But this is very hard to call because we haven't actually seen a lot of that top lane. I don't know if it's Katonki playing poorly or not to the level that they should, or Kexis just understanding the matchups, knowing how to play around this, because we saw it, the Urgot worked out wonders against that Jace, knew exactly how to play that matchup. The Scion worked wonders in that game 1 as well. We already said at the beginning, Kexis does not need to win. Kexis needs to be that strong point. Just hold the ground, make sure that you're not giving any leeway over to Katonki, and then let the rest of the map do the work. That's exactly what we saw, and it's exactly what UCD have been doing well there.
Certainly, they showed that their top laner can have a big impact as well. Once again, it's a ban towards the mid lane, going for the Zillions. So they're scared of what Munch can do on that. It's a champion that enabled him to play defensively. And then we saw when it came to the team fights, he was just playing them pretty much flawlessly.
Yeah, now this makes it a little bit more difficult moving into here because you're leaving still a lot on the board. You can see Munch go back towards that Vladimir if you want to, and it seems to be just a case of we'll toss that third rotation into whatever is left open. But Morgana is picked up here for at least BGS Curtis, I'm assuming, in that bottom lane, and this means that we won't see Yo getting their hands on that pick once more.
Yo will have to change things up for game 3. Ulster University foregoing the ban on it, but realizing that Curtis can definitely play it himself. But that means that UCD will just strike back by trading the Sivir.
No. They're not allowed. We were already talking about this. You can't play the Sivir 3 times. You got to go for other picks. Because we're looking at, like Draven, Caitlyn, something like Kog'Maw.
Jinx, Kog'Maw, Teemo.
Jhin.
I'm still insistent on the Teemo.
I mean, look, actually, do you know what? It's a bait. It's a bait.
Sivir
You're
top
thinking
lane.
that Sivir, yes. You think the Sivir's going to go towards the AD carry position. They're actually going to toss it up. It's like Tristan in the top lane, It's basically that AD carry, a Vayne in the top lane. Why not go with Sivir?
Exactly. It's foolproof plan. They have the Vladimir once again banned away in game 2, but Munch will be going back to that immediately with the first 2 picks logged in. Big team fight for UCD.
And this is interesting to see, though, if they are going to lock in the Nunu here. Difference from the Skarner. We've seen that how many times at this stage out of Mr. Darkness. I'm glad that they're mixing this up a little bit. A better team fight orientated jungler that can actually do a lot more than the Skarner, I'd say, in a lot of these situations, but also kind of slows down UCD. You can't go for these big heavy engages with a Nunu there.
Yeah.
The Absolute Zero could work wonders in just splitting up those team fights.
I think the Nunu and the Morgana as a combination can do quite a bit to act as disengage if UCD do just go for the run at you with the Sivir and the Vladimir that we've seen come out of the first 2 picks. So a nice adaptation. And potentially the Jhin coming out here. Now, Ghoul has not played it so far in the Collegiate Championship, but you look at his OP.GG and he is a Jhin one-trick. He plays that champion so often, and he has to be very experienced on it, and they will lock it in to go with the Morgana.
And you're bringing this out in Game 3 of the Grand Finals here. This is where you pull out all the stops. Jhin going into the hands of Ghoul, you've got to expect that this is where they want to make their last stand. See if this is going to be the pocket pick that can really turn this series around. It does have the opportunity to do so. Can do well against the Sivir. You can punish quite heavily with that 4th shot as well, because Sivir needs to get quite close range. So you can have a little bit of punishment there, but you're going to have a very difficult time for Ulster University. This is where they've got to go very fast into this game. Jhin will very quickly fall off in comparison to that Sivir and that Vladimir that's there as well. I'm a little bit worried we're going to see a repeat of Game 1 where the early game goes incredibly well, but as we start to get towards that 3-4 item spike, UCD just take over the map.
And they have the Kayn in the jungle for Hanash as well. Once again, changing things up a little bit for him in the jungle, and more so like the Hecarim, it's a champion that can have that earlier impact in the game. So UCD clearly happy with what their jungler was able to do in Game 2.
Yeah, and also has a lot of interesting routes and paths you can take. It's almost very similar in respect to the Zac, where you can get in behind and then start to just be a bit of a nuisance when it comes to the gank routes, especially if you're looking towards a Jhin who very low range, very mobile, and if they are starting to push up, can be punished quite heavily. On that blue side as well, you will have that wraparound behind you on that bottom side too, so you can try and get in towards the blue buff and come down, which is an opportunity if you want to, but in behind the red buff, you'll have that little swing around that if you want to go for it. So can have a few interesting ways into that lane if they want to.
See, this is what we wanted from Kevin, man. The Draven.
Is it?
He's
definitely listening. It's like, don't play with me.
He's
if
not
you're
going
to
to pick
yeah,
it.
No.
It's unfortunately. We do get the Nami though in that bot lane, so that is the response with Yos Morgana taken away. Also the Thresh being banned, choosing to go to the Tide Calling.
And I like what they're doing here. So Nami works very well at punishing something like Morgana. You can heal up very effectively. You've also got the slows that can come through, a lot of ways to break that black shield. And then as well, you've also got just pure damage. I mean, the poke that can come through is going to be very difficult for the likes of this Jhin to try and deal with.
Yes, certainly will be. Maybe not as high on the lane dominance this time around, but I mean, all it takes is Yo to get up in the face and evade some of the crowd control that will come through from the Jhin and the Morgana, and he can get that push going. They have a Rise locked in for Guardian in the mid lane.
Okay.
It's not the big assassins, kind of the bursty champions that he's been going for, but it will allow him to do things in the team fights. And the Camille coming through in that top lane for Katanki.
Yeah, so this is the gauntlet being thrown down. This is, I'm just better. I'm going to beat you, whatever you want to pick. I don't care. Camille will outsplit push whatever you want to go for. And this becomes a very difficult matchup now for Kexis. This is where we're going to actually see if it was Kexis playing incredibly well in this top lane, or if Katanki needed something to try and step up on. This is where we're really going to find out what way this top lane matchup is going to go. Are going to lock in the Gnar as well, so I'm actually not the biggest fan of this. Gnar is quite squishy and quite vulnerable in that smaller form, and you've got a lot of distance and gap closers with that hook shot that can come in, and that makes it very difficult for Kexis to play this lane. You can start to jump around and maneuver around and try and outplay that, but if you do get caught out once, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, a lot of room for Katanki to make some solo plays in this top side. Kexis is going to have to play it back, and he's not on those big tanky champions. Well, not all the time. Gnar obviously gets tanky when he gets into mega form, but when he is in that mini Gnar form, he may just be a sitting duck, and Katanki can potentially punish that hard on the Camille, and then all of a sudden they have this huge split push threat, this big damage source in the top lane with that Camille. So Kexi's going to have to be careful.
And this is where we're seeing a very different game plan come through. This is disengage, this is play from safe, look to wave clear coming through from Ulster University, and have Katanki be the winner. Have this as our win condition. On the opposite side, we're seeing UCD go back towards the old faithful. Just go for team fights. We're just going to win out. We're going to scale using Kevinman on the Sivir and the Vladimir, and just look to beat your face in. That's all that they really want to do. It's, again, a strategy from Ulster University that can be punished. If you follow behind and Camille can't get towards that Triforce, towards that Ravenous or Titanic Hydra, whatever way you want to fall on that, this is going to be a very difficult situation to try and bring this back. But we are going to have to find out how this falls. Game 3 in our grand finals of the Ice Collegiate Championship Division 1. And Whimsy, we are on to the Rift.
All UCD need is one more game to secure themselves a championship. They made the final last year and they were the ones on the receiving end of a 3-0 defeat, but now ready to right the wrongs of the past. With new players Munch and Hanash joining the team, it has really helped them out, and it is shown in the first 2 games of this final. But Ulster University, by no means any slouches. Their composition a little bit more focused this game, a little bit more similar to what they were trying in that game 1, and they are ready to fight back because they need to.
They have to find some way of doing so. The bottom lane here, taking away the Morgana from Yo, now getting Ghoul onto the signature pick. This is where the bottom lane for Ulster University needs to have their impact known. But that's the big question for me, Whimsy. Can they do that?
Curtis will walk up to the bush to get a ward down and is met with a chunk of damage as Kevinman and Yo had the bush stacked, which actually will affect their start. Curtis does not have the time to get a recall off, and the push will come through from Kevinman and Yo as well, with their jungler starting on the top side. And potentially they're looking for the bait. I don't know if Nami has the bubble taken just yet, but Curtis is already very low. The damage comes through as well. So low. Has to flash. The Airy comes through as well, nearly dropping the Morgana, but Curtis alive for the moment, but that is not the start that Ghoul and Curtis wanted.
You shouldn't even use that pot. Curtis has got the back. Ghoul is taking so much damage here.
Once again, the Sivir just pushing forward constantly and knows that Kevinman has more damage, especially backed up by Yo. A Ghoul's sticking around the lane.
No!
He's going to fall. Has to use the heal. The Dark Binding as well from Curtis will come down, but oh man, a cheesy start coming out from Kevinman and Yo, but it has got them exactly what they wanted.
My question was rhetorical, Whimsy. I didn't need Kevinman to answer it for me.
We do see once again Curtis just... This Sivir just walks at him, throws out the boomerang blade, chokes come through, and now not one but both members of the Ulster University bot lane will be forced back, and now they're looking to see if they can get to this Nunu in the river. The world's biggest snowball has been used. He's going to find himself Munch though. Maybe he's in some trouble, but Guardian is there to back him up. However, Hanash will put the numbers in favour of UCD. However, I think that Ulster University have managed to get themselves to safety in the nick of time. UCD still angling for that first kill, but they don't have it just yet.
No, but bot lane dominance has been established. Now we're looking to see if Katonki can get that top lane established as well. Kexi's taking a lot of damage.
And Katonki happy to throw down with Kexius in that Meganar form. Very, very nice trade from him. And this is where Kexius has to be very careful. Has the flash available, so has that one tool to get himself out to safety. And if he also gets access to the hop as well, that can be used to help him out. We do see the engage likely coming through here. The snowball as well will be let go of and sent the way of this Gnar, but already a heap of pressure from just Katonki in this top lane.
And this is where we're seeing the lines drawn in the sand. Top lane is firmly in favour of Ulster University. UCD controlling the bottom side of the map. And this is where it becomes very difficult for Ulster University. We're already saying trying to control this 4-man matchup is what Ulster University crucially need to do right now. Allow Katonki to be in control in this split push. That's not going to be the case if Ghoul and BGS Curtis are already behind. Yes, they're matched on CS, but crucially it is that experience that has been lost out on for Ghoul and BGS Curtis.
Yeah, they'll find themselves down on the levels as the lane progresses. However, another gang potentially coming through in the top lane as the snowball is used and trying to weave it in between the towers. He is actually able to do it, and now maybe looking to see if he can get to Kexi as that snowball keeps on rolling, but not able to stick with it for long enough. The Gnar was far enough back. The repeated pressure from the top side not bearing, but on the bottom side, meanwhile, the flashes out to Curtis. First blood for Kevinman. 3 games in a row. This UCD bot lane just time after time getting these kills in the early game.
And it's even punishing just that experience disadvantage we're talking about. Not being level 3, no black shield available, means that BGS Curse can't stop that bubble coming in from Yo, and you can see the difference there. Level 4 for Kevinman right now. That kill in their back pocket. One more possibly on Ghoul.
The bubble hits, so does the auto attack. Ghoul goes down. 2 now in this bottom lane, and this is looking like a repeat of game 2 more than game 1, with UCD just once again dominating the 2v2.
Capture sphere will land, and unfortunately it shuts down. Look, I mean, can we just get one lane that goes okay for Ulster University?
Yeah, that was a close one for Katonki. He's going to have to base and use that teleport as well. I mean, the mid lane's going fine. Rice stacking his tier, has a small CS advantage over Munch, but Guardian has to be looking at his 2 side lanes and being like, come on guys, Come on, just what are you guys doing? Down in farm in both side lanes, and the 2 kills on that Sivir as well are going to mean Kevin Man is getting those crit items on the Sivir sooner than you'd expect.
Okay, so I want to take a step back now and look at where we actually land in this mid game. If everything stays exactly the same right now, there is the opportunity for Ulster University to try and fight, but that does not look like it's going to be the
Emo
case.
Plague used in the mid lane, and both junglers popping on in for a visit. Munch trying to back off here. The slows come through. Has to use his flash as well, but he should be okay. Using the cleanse. Both summoners taken off of that Vladimir. So an advantage in the trade coming through. A 2-for-1 in summoner spells overall.
They will get the summoner spell advantage, but you can see how far Darkness had to try to go in. Now, with all this pressure that Mr. Darkness is putting down, actually at a level disadvantage. Nash sitting at that level 5, level 4 for this Nunu. Not being able to capture or at least get anything out of these snowballs means that, unfortunately, the snowball has started for Hanash.
You know, the Kayn will be moving towards either of the evolved forms. I would be guessing that he wants to go with Rastus. That seems to be, more often than not, the better of the Kayn forms that you want to go with. And I think those buffs to Shadow Assassin still in the works. But you on the bottom side once again. The Dark Binding is spell shielded. And now Ghoul going to face the brunt of the damage, but is able to back off before he's in any real trouble there. Mid lane, Guardian low on mana as the gank comes through from Hanash. Has to watch himself. He's happy though, just waiting back here. He's not phased by the presence of the Kayn.
No, they're trying to just shove in that mid lane so then Munch can back. You can see he hasn't actually gone back after that first purchase, whereas the teleport from Rise has allowed them. Now looking at this bottom lane, Mr. Darkness, unfortunately, too little, too late. Kevin Man and Yo have put their stamp on towards this bottom lane. There's no way that this level 4 Nunu is going to do anything.
Yeah, Mr. Darkness, in the effort to make so many ganks happen, finds himself falling very far behind on levels. Kayn is already level 6, while Mr. Darkness, still only on level 4, needs to go back to farming. Has to kind of just let the lanes be, I think, for a little bit, because these ganks are not working out.
No, and this is the issue. You feel as a jungler, you've got to put some pressure down. Every lane is losing. What do? I run directly
two-man
into Yo.
stun into the root. They might have this, even with the level 6 hit by Kevin Man. There's a lot of damage coming through from all 3 members, but Kevin Man just hanging in the pocket as the Sivir, looking for Curtis, but the heal comes through to keep him alive. Can he get one onto Mr. Darkness before he goes down? He is able to get it with the Boomerang Blade coming back. Meanwhile, Yo able to flash away from the binding at the last second. Even in the 2v3, it's still an even trade for the UCD bot lane.
And I don't think that was the shutdown either. I didn't get quite to see, might have been with those 2 kills and the advantages, but either way, still a kill going across. And this is just, again, Kevin Man playing very aggressive, looking to see if they could get those Ricochet Blades to try and set up both the kill on BGS Curtis and onto Mr. Darkness as well, but wasn't quite able to make it happen. Still looking strong.
Yeah, we see individual advantage in that bot lane still well and truly in favor of the Sivir, but also the jungle as well. Hanash developing himself a very, very nice lead. Now looking to turn that lead into a gank at the bot side with On the Hunt being used. Flash is there for Ghoul, but I don't think it matters. They're actually nicely timed it away from the Darkened Blade, but now they can just turn the attention to Curtis, who does not have that luxury available. Boomerang Blade close to picking off the second kill. Not able to find him, but once again, Kevin Man not getting the kill that time, but still it's another for UCD.
And now we're looking at 9 minutes into this game. They're going to be able to get another turret plate in that bottom lane. BGS Curtis. I'm just assuming Morgana's Yo at this stage. BGS Curtis on the Morgana, forced to back. Ghoul forced to back. Now you've got the Sivir pushing very effectively, and it also opens up Yo to start on these roams. That Tidal Wave is available, and even though you normally don't think of Nami as the roaming support, that Tidal Wave can work wonders if given the opportunity to do so.
It looks like UCD are hoping they'll get Drake by the Ocean here with not too much in the way of contest, although Mr. Darkness has shown up. Blast Cone is available if he wants to go over the wall. And
it's an Ocean Drake, though. It's good. I don't know if this is one that you want to try and risk your life for.
I don't know if he can really has the pressure to make anything happen, but maybe the snowball around the side could help him out. Oh, he runs it into the wall, walks on up, and Hanash is already secured it by that point, and already the Nunu on a low health bar means that he is just easy pickings here for UCD. Kevin Man finds kill number 4 there. The Smite Steal not working out, and clutching at straws now at Ulster University. Katanki, though, might be able to find something on the top side, but the auto attacks from Kexius will be enough to secure it. The flash from Katanki to try and make the outplay falls up short, and UCD just taking over everywhere once again.
And that was Katanki going overly aggressive to try and stop that teleport. Unfortunately, though, they'd already had committed. They'd already won the fight. There was no reason for Kexius to go there, so Kexius is happy enough to just wail away on this Camille. Camille really wants a few more items there before they can try and fight this Gnar, try and get something to happen. You can see, okay, Mega Gnar has gone down. I can try and make the play, but Katonki already on half health, and even when they go in like that, Kexius is free to just hit away. And unfortunately, it gives their life over alongside the others who fell victim in that bottom side of the map.
Look at that farm lead in the top side. That's the first thing that you see as soon as we come out of the replay. Bottom lane as well, not quite as large, but it's still barely
It's an
advantageous.
infinity edge to a BF sword, Wibsy. That's a lot of extra gold that's currently in Kevin Mann's pocket.
Yeah, 2 levels up as well. This is... Man, I thought after game 2 it was fairly brutal, but game 3 even more so, it seems, with
It's
the way UCD have started.
1,500 gold over in favor of Kevin Mann. An entire BF sword worth of gold already in favor of Kevin Mann. This bottom lane has been so crucial to UCD's success, and we're seeing it one more time. Our lane we highlighted at the start, and you can see exactly why.
Even with the Morgana taken away, even with Ghoul on his solo queue pick in the Gene, that will not stop Kevin Mann and Yo from taking over this lane. However, a nice bit of crowd control will come through, but Ghoul already so low. I'm not sure how much he can commit to this. With the curtain call not available, Mr. Darkness does not hit with the snowball, but Kevin Mann hits him with more than enough auto attacks to take him down. Out comes the Jin ultimate now, just in time to help get one for them. And with Guardian turning this into a 4 versus 2, they are able to get it, but there's a double kill for Curtis at the end of the stage. It's not who you want the kills on. It's a small thing for Ulster University, but at least it's something.
You roll the dice, and unfortunately it comes up with BGS Curtis. However, still they are shutting down that bottom lane. Still they're getting that gold off of the Sivir, and still there is life in this Ulster University roster. They are trying desperately to claw their way back into this series. It is match point for UCD. The desperation, the speeds of sweat are on Ulster University's faces right now as they try to push forward. One more snowball, one more time, but Munch will not be victim of a snowball flurry today.
He just walks around the corner to avoid that one. The 2-man Hemo Plague will come out as he wants to take the fight with Yo and Hanash close by as well, able to escape as the health bar drops low. And Guardian, Mr. Darkness facing down the numbers deficit. Don't want to get too close. That will allow Hanash to turn back and secure the Rift Herald here. But Guardian thinks he has it again. The CC chain comes through onto this Nami and is popped by Guardian, who gets a kill onto the Rise. Ulster University begins to get something going here as the snowball keeps on going. Munch dodging out of it with the Sanguine Pool, but that might just allow more of the crowd control to come through. They're able to find the kill. Meanwhile, though, another solo kill in this top lane. This Camille pick not working out, but at least the rest of Ulster University beginning to get something going.
And this is so strange. We see a team fight disengage composition that's now turned into a pick composition that's working out for Ulster University, slowly clawing their way back in. But we're 14 minutes into the game. It's a 3k goal lead for UCD.
About to be more as the tower goes down in that top side. Shelly assisting Hanash there, and UCD keeping the lead going. We're going to cut to a replay of the solo kill in the top lane.
I mean, this is just rinse and repeat essentially for Kexius. Katonki is worried that Kexius is going to start roaming over, goes a little bit too far forward, and Kexius... Where is this coming from? My notes, Whimsy, if I can point these out to you, my notes are Poppy, Urgot, Sion, and Shogat. Where did this playmaking ability from Kexius come from?
Yeah, he's looking to see if he can do something else in this fight as well. Umbral Trespass will allow Hanash to keep himself alive as the Nunu goes down. Katonki, we've seen him not be able to secure these kills before, and even with the Hextech ultimatum keeping Hanash in place, he just cannot cut through the defenses while Kexius bashes him in that Mega Gnar form. And now Guardian could be the next victim here as the slows constantly come through from the boulder toss. In comes Munch as well at the last minute, not able to get the assist before Kexius takes him out. 5-0 on this Gnar. He's actually the star carry. Like you said, the notes out the window. Kexius just massive performance once again in this top lane.
Massive performance across the board from UCD. Notes be damned, history be damned. Munch performing on Vladimir. Kexius standing up and being noticed as he's about to die to a turret.
Thanks. Okay,
Thanks.
so we were bigging you up.
Ruined my whole point. It's fine. You try,
Yeah.
and you know what? Some people are just very unappreciative.
He made a deal with the devil, and the devil came calling, and it was the death of the terror. Meanwhile, Kevin Man could be dying here, trying to see if he can get the kill, but Ghoul able to take him out. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Guardian looking for the fight, trying to see can he shut down Munch, but missing with that last overload. I'm not sure the damage would have gone through, but it would have been very, very close. Munch does escape with his life.
Just about. But we're seeing the exact same thing again from Munch. 0-1 in this mid lane, still has a very decent and respectable CS for themselves in this lane, and now looking to see if they can get towards that late game and take over. Mr. Darkness is being taken over in their own jungle, chased off the dragon, as Guardian does come down to try and help out.
Rast has taken over Kane at this stage, so Hanash even more of a threat. Actually, he's found himself Yo once again. This Rise is causing problems. Anytime he runs into a member of UCD on their own, the Rune Prison, allowing the combos to come off, and now he's trying to keep Hanash away from sneaking on in the Shadow Step, looking for the steal. The Dragon's actually stopped here. Now UCD getting the members down. Teleport coming through from Kexius to join the fight. Immediately CC'd away, but now you can rejoin. Munch on this Vladimir, causing havoc in the back line as well. He's beginning to do quite a bit of damage here. In comes Katanki on the side, seeing if he can turn him down. Meanwhile, at the Drake, Hanash able to finish it off, and now he is on the hunt as this Kane. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Kexius missing with the Gnar ultimate, but Guardian walks into the wallop. He walks into the wallop. They get Katanki as well. Mr. Darkness also was eventually hunted down by his opposing number. And UCD, it was scrappy, it was messy, but they got the Drake and they got the kills.
I didn't think they would get the fight, though. You can see everyone kind of commits to either onto Guardian and onto Ghoul here, or onto the Dragon. I'm watching Munch here going, where's the support? Where are the people that are coming with them to help? Kexius zoning off Guardian and Ghoul means that the two big damage dealers to try and deal with Munch in these fights are not there. The Vladimir is able to sustain their way through.
Hanash. It was close. He tried to get Ghoul at the back under the tower, but just not able to. However, they can play with that. Curtis goes down somewhere. He's dead. And they also get the tower in the mid lane as well. So, yeah.
I like the way you just say that. As in other news, the sky is blue and water is wet.
I mean, that's Kevin Man's 7th kill. So at this point, we're pretty used to it. He gets the tower in the mid lane as well. Also, University, it looks as if they're keeping competitive in a lot of these fights, but they are 9,000 gold down. The stat advantage does not lie, and it's allowing UCD to...
17.5 minutes, and it's 9k gold. This... I thought it was going to be somewhat close. I thought we were going to see Ulster University finally find the picks, find this different style that they could work with. Game 3 of this grand finals. But they've just rolled over. There's nothing left. The tank is dry. And UCD are one step away from climbing the mountain as victors of the Irish Collegiate Championship.
Yeah. Hanash may find himself caught out here. The Rune Presence does connect, but the overload not able to get the Kane in time. Meanwhile, on the mid lane, once again, Ulster University looking for the engage. On the hunt is used, but Kevin Man will be locked up for eternity. Dark Binding, Rune Prison, no escape. Guardian gets that kill.
Guardian, I mean, handily picks up that kill as well, and they'll be able to push forward here. You can see Katanki mention that they are going to start putting pressure on towards this mid lane turret. So makes their way down here, but is being surrounded on all sides. Kexius is very close to Mega Gnar.
Yeah, they're going to see if they can finish him off before the ultimate comes through, but he is able to throw them away. However, Guardian in a good position, but Hanash able to bail his top laner out in a nice spot. Ulster University beginning to amp up the pressure here. Despite their deficit, they are causing UCD some problems.
We've seen this a lot, though. They're trying to see if they can get these picks. This is now where they can try and put some pressure down. They will get this mid lane turret. Hanash is coming in on the side, though.
Yeah, he's looking to see what he can do. A big knockup comes through, but he is completely isolated and will fall once again. Munch going to look for the flank of the backside. He is a ways out, though, and they are down a man. They don't have the teleport from Kexius. He's thinking better of it. He's actually backing off, as he might have been caught out by a ward. Ulster University thinking of the collapse if they can get the Realm Warp in the right spot, but they don't know where the Vladimir is. He's backed off at this stage. He's safe enough. And Ulster University, despite the deficit they face, really putting up a good fight.
And they just brought it down by 2k as well, and that's simply because of arrogance coming in on UCD. Don't have Munch, don't have Kexius, but still Hanash tries to go in. Now they might have found Guardian, though.
A lot of damage comes through onto him, but he is able to escape. Now Curtis is the next focus. Kevin Man's scope zeroing in on him, but he has the flash to create a little bit of distance. And he once again gets himself out alive. Ulster University not falling afoul of the charges coming through from UCD.
Now they've still got to try and keep their waves in check, though. Katanki waiting to get still towards that first item. Triforce isn't... I mean, you're still about 800-900 gold away from that. And when you look at the comparison up towards the top laner for the side of UCD, Kexius has that Frozen Mallet completed. The Black Cleaver as well. They are more than capable of dealing with Katonki for the next little while. It's going to be a long, long time before Katonki can try and be that big split push pressure we're talking about. Whereas Kexius is free to roam the map.
Oh, Ghoul, you have no flash. However, the Realm Orb comes in and will provide a little bit of backup here. Munch using the Hemoplague only catches the one, and now he's very far forward in his zone. He has to flash away. There's not a lot of sustain left for this Vladimir. All they need is one form of hard CC. They don't even need it. Mr. Darkness able to finish off the kill. They can use it to lock up Kexius, trying to see if they can get number 2, but look at the top side of the map. The push is coming through from 2 members of UCD. They've forced Katonki back, and Kevin Man can free hit this tower for the next few seconds. Guardian, meanwhile, still trying to finish off this kill. Not able to get close enough to the Nara in time. Flash used by the Nunu to finish it off, but their base is just being sieged down upon for free by Kevin Man. Katonki now with Ghoul close by, missing the engage with the hook shot, using the Hextech ultimatum just at the last second, but he will fall down. The spell shield not locking Kevin Man in place. Katonki will go down. He has kept the tower alive though. Also University, maybe thinking can they follow this up if the Nunu CC comes through. They catch out Yo with the binding, and Curtis gets that kill. Ulster University clawing their way back in any way possible, constantly hunting down these kills.
Their nails are dug in. They're trying to see if they can get back into this. Kevin Man is on the run. There's going to be the biggest snowball ever, but can it be big enough to chase them down? The knockup comes through from Hanash and will shut down any pressure. But still, Ulster University need to be careful. Their base is now vulnerable. Katonki can no longer deal with this split push, and even though they're getting these kills, Hanash is about to go in.
Has the backup from Munch now. He used the Hemoplague at the start of the fight, but the Cane has already gone down, and I don't know if Munch can sustain for too long on his own. He's just trying to find one, but doesn't even finish the Vladimir E before he falls. The kill score is nearly even now.
They've got 30 seconds before either Hanash or Munch are up. They could try and turn towards this bar, and health bars are quite low. Mountain Drake looks like instead will be the port of call. Will be the boomerang blade that cuts across several people, but barely slices through Ghoul and also through Guardian. And I gotta say, Guardian is the big factor for them in these fights. This Rise is churning out all the damage. Guardian no longer wants to say that we got to the finals but we were second place. Ulster University again denied in 2017 in that semi-finals. They refuse to be denied in this grand finals.
Guardian leading the last stand for Ulster University. We were talking about their 9k gold deficit at 15 minutes, but somehow they have clawed it back. They have got kills after kills. They are still behind. Don't get me wrong. They are still quite a ways behind in that goal discrepancy. The farm advantage not looking good in a lot of places. The towers, they are down quite a bit, but they are showing UCD that they are not to be trifled with. And if they make enough picks happen, potentially they turn into a Baron, potentially they turn into a few more towers, and potentially they really find themselves on level footing with their opponents.
And this is where we got to see UCD take a step back, take a breather. We need to get back into this. We need to fight as 5. We need to stop running in one-on-one. Instead, play to our strengths. Munch in this bottom lane trying to push forward. Still quite separated, trying to get onto Ghoul. You can see Hanash is here as well.
That Jin is fast though, only gets hit by the Hemoplague and actually able to lock him up. UCD looking for the kill onto 5, but Ghoul holding the flash until he needs it right at the end. The pick from UCD fails. The Dark Binding does not hit though, which will slow them down, but they might be able to get Hanash at the front of the fight. Jumps on in, Umbral Trespass will slow things down, and maybe this is the fight that UCD need. They're locked in place. The bubble hits 2 though, and that could be huge. They get the first kill of the fight onto Curtis. Hanash eventually goes down, but now UCD have the death ball that they need. They have the crits from the Sivir. Double kill for Kevin Man in the fight, and UCD, after taking so many deaths for so long, finally have a team fight go their way.
And it's a perfect team fight for them as well. Ghoul tries to open up with the curtain call, tries to get them back in shape, but you just are funneled into these small corridors for Kevin Man, and they will say thank you very much. I've got 75% crit, and it's going to land on all of your faces. Now they turn towards the Baron, but with low health bars and Guardian in the area, they're a little bit wary about starting this one up.
Yeah, Guardian, he could have been caught out there if he'd gone too far forward, but UCD actually just thinking, no, we don't want to risk anything. We just want to reset. We got that big fight. We finally got a bit of momentum back. We're slowing down the train that Ulster University were beginning to get out of the station. And now with a couple of wards around that Baron pit, but Ulster University have a little bit of time. They can maybe clear out that vision ward at the front of the pit, but I'm curious to see what UCD do over this next walk, because Baron will be that big objective. If they want another team fight, that is the best place for them to force it to.
And I like what they're going for here. Instead of having Guardian be with the team, they've now sent Guardian down to be that split pusher against Kexius. It's probably the only one that can really survive against this now right now by just wave clearing. Katonki has the opportunity to try and go into the top lane, but Hanash has found Mr. Darkness. They will both back away here, neither wanting to try and push too far forward. Munch trying to see if they can lead the charge now. Kevin Man has popped on the hunt.
Thinking they could find somebody, but the 3 men of Ulster University were already far enough away, and Ghoul also quite a distance they would have had to cover to catch up to him. Ulster University, I think over the last 10 minutes more than anything, apart from that one fight that they lost, doing a very good job of playing on the edge of the kill range from UCD. And actually Guardian taking up the 1v1. The damage coming out of this Rise may just be enough. Doesn't have the flash available to close the gap, but we do see the Baron actually being started. Munch though, in the side lane, he's not going to be able to get there. The teleport is there for Guardian if he wants to get in. Meanwhile, Hanash having a lot of trouble on the back line. Yo will fall. First death of the fight. Now Katongi looking to see if he can get to Hanash. This Kane is so low, and the sustain is not there from Rast. 2 kills on the Baron and UCD
They got
with
Munch
a
as well.
blunder. Looking for number 3. Guardian just needs to get in range for one more route. Realm Warp will close off another escape path. Munch has a long way to run if he wants to get to safety. I don't think there's any exit for Munch in this scenario. Guardian trying to get close enough here. A lot of damage coming through from this Vladimir, but the Proto Belt will get him a little bit of distance to cleanse. Means he can just keep on running. Well, actually on the top side, the fight though, Kexius might have been caught out once again. He's going to go down. Go gets the kill. UCD just dying time after time.
This game makes no sense, Whimsy. My brain hurts. Munch is still on the run. They will manage to escape. Guardian desperately.
How long is he running?
No, pool. It doesn't matter. Oh, he's hiding. Wait, Munch. Where do you go?
What the? Hey! Point click.
What is going on? The decision making from UCD has got me so confused, and unfortunately they end up losing out a huge amount. We were now looking towards, okay, this is working wonders, but now look at who actually is the big factors here. 7 kills on this Gnar, taken out by this Rise. 10 kills for Kevin Man, who can't enter these fights because Ulster University are playing them so well. Guardian now trying to see if they can be the Guardian around the Drake, but it's gone already. Ulster University are not there to try and push forward, but the Baron is the big one here. This is what we have to keep our eyes on.
What is going on in this goddamn game? We were expecting UCD so quick at the start.
There's something about game 3s and finals today.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, that's... Oh man. Ulster University, they're still 6k goal down. They're still finding it tough, but apparently that's enough for them to actually make the plays that they need.
But watch where the gold is. That's what I want to highlight. It's spread out across Ulster University, but on UCD, it's all on 2 big carries. It's on Kevin Man in the bottom lane, and it's on Gnar, but Gnar's about to be dropped
In comes
very
the crowd
quickly.
control. Mega Gnar will come through though, and that might be enough for Kexius to escape alive. But with multiple members closing in, they just need the point and click CC, and they should be able to finish this off. But in come UCD to turn it around, and the Rise is already gone. That could be huge. Second, third kill comes over. Kevin Man free to hit these crits, and now Ghoul and Mr. Darkness just having to run for their lives. UCD with the counter engage, get the team fight, and now it's Baron attempt number 2.
I don't know if they can try and stick on this Baron though. Ulster University have quite a bit that they can try and push forward. Kevin Man has got to get the crits on Ghoul.
Ghoul has made that step just a bit too far forward, but the flash is available as well as the heal. They force him back. And now it looks as if they may be leaving it, apparently with no vision on that part of the pit, and the recall will come through. They don't want to contest this. They're going to let the Baron go over to UCD.
Ghoul does walk up, takes one more pop shot before they realize there's nothing that we can do here. Back away, boys. We'll have to try and defend our base. Ulster University take a step one too far. The tidal wave split them up one too many, and now they find themselves one more team fight down. Can they try and hold on? This is a massive push from UCD. The Baron buff is going to make it nigh on impossible for Ulster University to try and clear this out. We said already that they do have wonderful wave clear in the form of Rise, in the form of that Jhin, but with Baron buff up and at the ready, this suddenly becomes a very daunting task for Ulster to try and get up and over.
They have to deal with the push coming through from the Sivir. They have to deal with the split push coming through from Kexius on the Gnar. things got a whole lot trickier for Ulster University. But if UCD give them the picks again, that will completely take the wind out of their sails. I wonder, will UCD be able to work with the emotional momentum, you could say, off of finally getting that barn buff themselves after things going so wrong for so long. Now back with completely recouping the goal lead that they struggled to maintain when they were ahead in that early game. This may have been the point that they secure themselves this championship game.
We're still waiting on some items on both sides to be completed, though. Katonki still waiting on that Titanic Hydra to come on board where they can really start to be a factor. Although that is so delayed at this point, I don't even know if it's relevant. As well as Guardian trying to get that rabbit on deck cap, but I don't think you're going to get given the time. UCD are already trying to pull the trigger on breaking open the base of Ulster University.
Yeah, the tower already so low in that mid lane from Kevin Mann, just helping those minions do the work, and they have pushes in all 3 lanes here, looking to do as much damage as possible. Redemption actually being used for sustain, but Mr. Darkness being dropped very, very low by the Sivir. The tower falls on the bot side, and this is looking like complete base collapse here. Katonki, though, looking for the engage. They have Kexi as the low man out, but Hanash is there as well. They're going to be able to back him up, and the Nunu falls to start the fight off, looking to jump onto Curtis as well, and the Umbral Trespass will surely do the trick. Second kill comes in. The Jin went down elsewhere as well, and Katonki going down. UCD have 3 kills. They have lost no one, and they have the minions in the base. This might just be them taking the game.
Guardian tries, he stands in front of the onslaught that is coming in from UCD, but there is nothing left.
And this is Katonki, the one-man show to try end it, but there is no hope for Ulster University, and UCD definitely had to work for it, but they finally close it out, and they, in a 3-0 victory, will be your 2019 Collegiate Champions.
And what a manner to do so in as well. The 3-0 for UCD. Commiserations to Ulster University. They tried desperately to claw their way back into that game, but there was just no foothold. At that last stretch, they fall, and UCD rise triumphant.
And things looked shaky there, even despite that massive goal lead. Ulster University were showing that it didn't mean much, but all it took was for them to maybe reset a little bit and capitalize on the aggressive pick making that Ulster University were relying on. A couple of big fights went their way at crucial points in the game, just like game 1, and they managed to eventually get themselves with that Baron buff in a position to close it out.
And it's such a strange way to see them do it as well. It was almost like once they weren't on a pick or a poke heavy style, and they were enabled to not play a singular style, that's suddenly where they came online. They could try to take the team fights. They were actually finding the picks that they wanted to in that mid game, but unfortunately they weren't quite able to capitalize on it. There was, as you're saying, 9k down at 15 minutes. If that had even been, 7k, 6k, maybe they could have found their way back into it, but unfortunately that goal difference was just way too much, and with the later scaling that was coming in on the side of UCD, it was too much of a hurdle to try and get over.
Yeah, commiserations to Ulster University. They did make a good fight of it, but at the end of the day, just not able to match up against the #1 seed. Congratulations once again to UCD Leviathan, who will take the championship, will be representing Ireland at the University European Masters later on in the year. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We've had a great tournament so far, and that's going to be us done. That's all our finals finished now. So once again, from myself, Gosu, and the whole team at ICE, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys support UCD when it does come to the UAM, and have a good evening.
Watching castles fill the sky, the moon's soft glow, the stars are flying high. Seesaw hanging in the air, and the ocean breeze blows through